Every young racer dreams of winning NASCAR's Winston Cup Championship and joining legends like Pearson, Yarborough, Teddy, Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip. In 1984, Bobby Labonte watched his older brother Terry win the title and then raced him in '96 for the crown. Today, the younger member of this Texas duo attempts to cap his greatest season after racing for years in his brother's shadow. Now it's Bobby's turn to shine.
Bobby Labonte is in turn 3. He's heading for the checkered flag. Checkers are out, and Bobby Labonte has won.
Labonte's Joe Gibbs Racing Team has been #1 for 23 straight weeks this year.
In 3 weeks for Bobby Labonte and the Joe Gibbs team.
Checkered flag is up. Bobby Labonte wins.
Here's Bobby Labonte. Talk about someone racing their way into a title.
NASCAR history can be rewritten today. They've been counting votes in the presidential race for the past 5 days, but today at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, we'll be counting points to see if Bobby Labonte can win the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship in the Pennzoil 400. I'm Alan Bestbrook. Benny Parsons joins me in a moment. Here are the championship standings coming into today's race. Bobby Labonte trying to close out Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Burton for the title. If Bobby can finish 5th or better today, he guarantees himself the 2000 Winston Cup. Let's go to pit road. Here's Marty Snyder.
Well, Alan, earlier this week, I spent time with Dale Jarrett, who was in this position last year, and he said the best thing about it was that he finally controlled fate in his own hands. And Bobby Labonte, as you sit on the verge of the championship, does it make you feel any better that destiny is finally in your own hands today?
Probably not a safe bet in my hands, I'm not sure, but yeah, we're excited about the way our season has been so far this year, and we're looking forward to this race. And we'd like to be able to finish in the top 5 for sure, and we'd like to go out and win the race better than yet. But if we finish in the top 5, I feel very good.
Are you finally starting to allow yourself to think about being the champion?
No, it hadn't happened yet. So, we're still got a lot of miles to run today, so hopefully we can do the best we can.
Well, the championship magic for Bobby Labonte really came together when he hooked up with one of the greatest minds and motivators in all of sports, Joe Gibbs, and last year his hotshot teammate, Tony Stewart.
I want to go out there and win for Joe Gibbs.
Just such a great motivator.
He's got the right people in the right place.
The right people for the right jobs. It's just like his coaching staff in football.
We want to outrun each other. We also want to run good for the team.
When you hire the right people like that and then let them go do their jobs, great things can happen.
Bobby Labonte wants to win the big one for the coach today, but his biggest challenge might not be winning the championship, but instead the battle within Joe Gibbs Racing. For more on that, here's Dave Burns.
Joe Gibbs' other driver is Tony Stewart. He just might be the future of NASCAR Winston Cup racing.
Give me 2, give me 5, give me 7, side to side.
Image is everything in this business. The Tony Stewart look, raw racing talent with a touch of attitude. And the freshman phenom of '99 has backed it up this year with sophomore success. A year ago in Miami, he raced, and he won. A win today gives him 6 for the year. And last year, Tony Stewart did rub his way to the front late in the race. Tony, what about it this year? Bobby's contending for the championship. Any slack for the teammate?
Absolutely. We're going to give him as much consideration as possible today. I'd like to see him wrap this thing up today and be able to go to Atlanta and have a good time without having to worry about this points battle. But we got a really good car. I mean, we're really happy with the way it's driving. It's a brand new race car that we brought here a couple weeks ago and tested, and we're expecting some great things out of this car today. It drove really good in happy hour, and we're going to have to be patient. We got 12 spots to gain here, but one of them's our teammate too, so we got to make sure when we're around him that we're really careful and not going to put his championship hopes in jeopardy. So we'll be careful with him. We'll work with him all day, but we're going to go out and try to win this race too.
Let's go to Mike Massaro.
Well, Bobby Labonte has been in control of the Winston Cup point standings for most of the season, but still, he's been unable to relax, much because of the unyielding pressure from the competitors in his rearview mirror.
Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Burton. The spoilers look to stop Team Gibbs' twin triumph in Miami. After 7 championships, the Intimidator is still hunting for number 8. Burton chased the championship all year. Some wins and some fire. Then another win a week ago in Phoenix. Can Burton or Earnhardt delay Labonte's dream?
Dale, has the dream of capturing an 8th Winston Cup title here this year begun to fade?
Well, this year's going to be tough to match, but, you know, Bobby's got a pretty solid lock on things. He's got to have some terrible luck, and I got to have some great luck for the next 2 races. So we're just going to race him and see if we can get win and see where it's all at the end. He's had a great year, and if he wins it, that's good, but we're going to keep fighting until it's over.
Dale Earnhardt will need some luck this afternoon. He starts 37th. Talon Bestwick.
With the 1973 Winston Cup champion, Benny Parsons, who will join me for the call of today's race. And Benny, you were in the position Bobby Labonte's in going into the Rockingham race back in '73, a sizable lead. What's he been going through last night and this morning?
Well, he's trying not to think about it. As you can see, he's trying not to think about it. But, folks, he's been racing these cars for over 25 years, and he knows today could be the most exciting day of all those years. But, again, he knows it's not just him alone. He's got a team, a family here to share it with him, and that's why he wants to be so excited to share it along with those people.
Bobby Labonte has an advantage over Burton and Earnhardt in that he starts at the front, they start in the back. The dignitaries are assembled at the start-finish line to begin today's Pennzoil 400.
Let's start your engine.
Bobby Labonte trying to lock up the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship in the Pennzoil 400. The green flag is next. NASCAR on NBC at the Homestead-Miami Speedway for the Pennzoil 400 as Bobby Labonte tries to clinch the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup Series Championship. F-16s from the Homestead Air Force Reserve Base, giving the crowd a thrill. Second time they've come across the racetrack.
I would imagine if we were sitting in there, we'd be getting the thrill as well.
Serious horsepower there. Let's take a look at the course that will face the drivers today in the Pennzoil 400.
Biggest thing on this graphic is the banking. Just 6 degrees in the turn, so that means the drivers have to really slow down, enter the corners, and follow a very precise line through the corners. And Michael Waltrip blew up yesterday in happy hour, and it looks like he has some problems with his engine now.
He has been black flagged by NASCAR and told to come to pit road immediately. And in fact, Michael is down off the racing surface, as you can see there. And the report is that there is oil down the backstretch. Starting lineup, Steve Park, second pole of 2000. Ricky Rudd on the front row with him. Bobby Labonte chases the championship from row number 2 with Jimmy Spencer alongside. Casey Ablett makes his third Winston Cup start from row 3 with Joe Nemechek, a 2-time Busch Series winner here. The defending Winston Cup champ, Dale Jarrett, goes from row 4 with Ward Burton and Bill Davis's Pontiac alongside. Great qualifying efforts for Brett Bodine and Kurt Busch. They share row 5.
On the inside of row 6, Mark Martin, his 400th consecutive start. On the outside, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Tony Stewart, last year's winner, and sporting a new paint job this weekend. On the inside, Johnny Benson on the outside. Sterling Marlin, John Andretti make up row 8. On the inside of row 9, Rusty Wallace, 4 wins in 2000, 9 poles. Mike Skinner on the outside. In row 10, Dave Blaney, career best finish last week, 8. Stacy Compton on the outside.
11th row, Jerry Nadeau and Jeremy Mayfield, who finished second last week at Phoenix. Bill Elliott and Darrell Waltrip in row 12. DW's 808 Winston Cup start. Masted freshly. In row 13, masted a backup car after a Friday crash. Elliott Sadler and Jeff Gordon in row 14. Gordon, the Busch Series winner here yesterday. It's youngsters Andy Houston and Bobby Hamilton Jr. in row 15. Hamilton Jr.'s first Winston Cup start.
Jeff Burton back in 31st position after the Phoenix sweep last week. Wally Dowling back, Kevin LePage, Scott Pruitt in row 17. Mike Bliss in the inside of row 18, and Jeffrey Bodine on the outside. In row 19, there's Dale Earnhardt as he tries to get that 8th championship alongside the rookie points leader, Matt Kenseth. Terry Labonte, Kenny Schrader in row 20. 21, Michael Waltrip, Kenny Wallace, and Bobby Hamilton in 43rd position.
8 drivers and teams came here to try and make the Pennzoil 400, but had to go home without being able to qualify. Among them, Kyle Petty, disappointed at having to go home.
Onboard cameras today. We'll be riding with the 3 contenders for the championship. Jeff Burton has an onboard camera, as he's just 8 points behind Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt in second spot. He's 2:18 behind our points leader, Bobby Labonte, trying to clinch his first NASCAR Winston Cup championship today. And I'm sure that fist will go in the air, and we'll be able to see it if he's able to do that.
Going to run at least one more pace lap. There was some oil dropped from Michael Waltrip's car on the back straightaway when he left pit road, so we're not getting the green flag here. It's going to be at least another lap under the caution flag. Plenty more onboard cameras for you today. We've got a total of 8 besides the 3 that we showed you, and a little new wrinkle with NASCAR on NBC, one of many new innovations we hope to be able to bring you over the next few years. This is called GoCam. It is mounted inside of the back straightaway on a cable. It runs somewhere between 50 and 80 miles an hour. What we want to do is give you a comparison to the speed your passenger car runs on the highway to what these guys are doing down the backstretch on this mile-and-a-half oval. There's what it looks like. Should be fun.
It should be fun. It tries to keep up with these cars approaching 180 miles per hour as they enter turn 3. They'll come off turn 2 at this part of the racetrack somewhere around 130, 135.
So the comparison there to your interstate highway speed from GoCam here on NBC throughout the day. Field is going to get the signal 1 to go when they come back to the start-finish line, so we are a lap and a half away from the green flag. Final updates from pit road before the start. Here's Mike Massaro.
Well, Alan, for Steve Park, the year 2000 has been a breakthrough season. He captured his first career win at Watkins Glen. Today, he sits on the pole for the 2nd time in his career. I spoke with him briefly yesterday, and he said he had known he finally made it in this sport when his boss, Dale Earnhardt, came to him and asked for his race setup. To Marty Snyder.
It only took Hart to win the championship, then Ricky Rudd would have already won the title. They feel like wins at Michigan, Charlotte, and Phoenix slipped away. It has truly been a heartbreak season for Ricky Rudd. But if bad luck does indeed truly come in threes, then today might be Ricky Rudd's day, who feels like his chance to win is better than it's been all season. Today, Burns.
Jeff Gordon made his final Busch Series start here at Miami Homestead Speedway yesterday. He won the race. The changes made to the 24 he's driving here today directly reflect the success they had yesterday. Ellen Bestwick.
1 to go signal for the field as they cross the start-finish line. So we'll get the Pennzoil 400 underway, another lap around. Race analysis today, it'll take 267 laps to make up the 400-mile distance.
And pit window for tires, 50 to 60 laps. These cars can run, I think, easily 60 laps on fuel, but I don't know if the right front tire is going to last that far. If you watched the NASCAR Busch Series race yesterday, you saw they wore those tires out in about 50, 60 laps. These cars a little heavier and a little faster, so the tire might wear quicker because it is exactly the same tire.
Michael Waltrip, we showed you with the problems on the pace laps. Mike Massaro has an update. What's wrong?
Well, Alan, it's already been a very rough weekend for Michael Waltrip. In happy hour yesterday, he wrecked his primary car in the first lap. The second lap, he blew the motor in his second car. Now they've gotten their backup car prepared for today, but only to have a loose oil line. They've tightened the main fitting. They're pushing him out from behind the wall back towards the racetrack right now.
So Michael trying to catch up with the field before the green flag. There is a rule in NASCAR racing that you must be on the speedway to take the green flag. So it's very important for them to get Michael out there onto the speedway before the field comes around at the start. They are getting him out of the garage now, and so he'll be able to get on off of pit road, well, hopefully, before the green flag. Field's in turn 4 for Bobby Labonte. The chance to cap the season today and save himself the pressure of rolling down to the season's final race, needing to lock out Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Burton for the title. He can do it today, finishing 5th or better in the Pennzoil 400 at Homestead. It's the second to last race of the NASCAR Winston Cup season, and we're glad you're with us here on NBC. The weather's fine, the crowd's excited, and we are too. Here's the green flag. Steve Park leads lap 1. Spencer working on Ricky Rudd for second.
And Bobby Labonte has broke out of this pack in 3rd spot, 4th spot actually. but he's getting a challenge on the outside from Joe Nemechek, and there's Casey Atwood, the young 20-year-old in 19, currently in the 6th position.
Casey working on Nemechek for the 5th spot. Spencer a little wide off the floor. They're not able to get him for second. Going to try Nemechek once again into turn 1. Nemechek not able to hold his car low, we've seen in the opening 2 laps.
Well, he looked up in the mirror, Alan, he saw the 19 car, and he realized 20 years ago, I think I better get him the bottom of the racetrack, because if he thinks he's going in there, he probably will go in there.
You know, Big Casey's a little anxious about this race with that great qualifying run. Atwood to 5th. Here's Dale Jarrett looking underneath Nemechek. Go to Mike Massaro.
Well, Casey Atwood is extremely excited this weekend, Alan. As you know, it's only his 3rd Winston Cup event. Qualified 5th when he got out of the car. He couldn't believe it himself. He said, "This is the best I've felt ever in my racing career."
Should be proud. He's done a great job. I mean, with no more experience than he has in a Winston Cup car, and we can't overstate the transition from the Busch Series to the Winston Cup. It's a significant one. Even though the cars appear the same, there are major differences underneath them.
And you can tell all year long, this is where Casey Atwood's future is. It's where his mind was all year long. Because in this car, he runs great. His NASCAR Busch Series car he ran yesterday, just a mediocre performance. So, again, his mind has been on this car and trying to do the job for Ray Evernham.
Casey Atwood finished in 20th position in the Busch Series Miami 300 here yesterday. Looking at Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt, they started well back in traffic. Burton in 31st, Earnhardt in 37th.
We see Jeff Burton already down the apron of the racetrack trying to get by Andy Houston. This is Houston, the 96 red car.
They're running in 33rd and 34th spots now.
And here goes Earnhardt up on the outside of Jeff Burton. Oh, that outside line. Someone has got it jammed up on the inside. And the car's going by on the outside. Burton loses a spot.
Here's Dave Blaney challenging Rusty Wallace. Blaney in the 93 going to pick up a spot. Career best Winston Cup finish at Phoenix last Sunday. He just took 15th away from Rusty. Johnny Benson there just in front of Blaney. Next for him to challenge.
Talking to Blaney and the crew in the garage area this weekend, they are very, very excited about how things are going with this 93 car, and especially off that great run last week in Phoenix.
But they have had a struggling weekend. They've had a miss in the engine of this car the entire weekend that they've not been able to solve. In fact, down there this morning, they had the entire electrical harness and ignition system picked apart, trying to make sure it wouldn't crop up again in today's race.
When this racetrack really gets slick and these tires get worn, he probably will wish he had a little bit of that mist to kill some power in the middle of the corner, keep them spinning the rear tires.
Johnny Benson in the 10 car, 14th position. Blaney in 15th. Up front, Steve Park closing in on Michael Waltrip to try and put him a lap down, and Jimmy Spencer closing in on Park. Park shot out pretty fast in the opening couple of laps, but now, as he's gotten in behind Waltrip, here comes Spencer and Rudd. Tony Stewart running in 9th spot. His name on a lot of people's lips in the garage area this morning as a pretty heavy threat to win this race.
Not some people. Everyone you talked to in the garage area said, I asked, how you running? Well, we're running pretty good, but no one is running nearly as well as Tony Stewart.
He was fastest in yesterday's final practice, but what scared a lot of people is he was fast over a long, long green flag run, which is what a lot of teams expect will be the case in today's race. Let's go to pit road.
Alan, as Tony battles with Joe Nemechek, I talked with his crew chief, Greg Zipadelli, this morning, and Greg told me that they were good from the start when they started running in race trim, so they've been very happy with it all weekend long. They've made some changes this morning to deal with the additional rubber that was laid down during the Busch Grand National race yesterday.
Nemechek getting passed by Stewart for 7th. Here's Spencer trying Steve Park.
Where is this Jimmy Spencer coming from? I just did not think that Jimmy Spencer and his team had that set up for a flat track like Homestead, but here he is in the lead after about 9 laps.
Second leader of the race. There's GoCam. Look how quickly those cars leave the camera traveling at interstate highway speed.
We saw Bobby Labonte go by still in the 4th position.
Here's Jeff Gordon trying to get a spot on Mike Skinner. That's 20th position. And Ricky Rudd going to get 2nd on Steve Park. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Well, Alan, just 10 laps in, and Steve Park already has a push in the middle of the corners. That's one of the things you fight here at Homestead. The car wants to push up in the middle of the corners. They let Jimmy Spencer go. Paul Andrews, the crew chief, said no pressure from behind. Just let him go. He's running faster than you. He's pushing harder than you are right now. Let him go on by.
If you're new to NASCAR, a push is?
The car just does not want to turn. Right here, see how the car's going up the racetrack? He turns the wheel, but he keeps going straight. That's what we call pushing.
Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt trying to move up through traffic. Burton has gotten back around Earnhardt. That's 29th and 30th positions you're looking at.
Still an awfully long ways to go for these two cars to get anywhere close to Bobby Labonte and try to get some points away from Labonte and not let him clinch that championship here in Homestead.
To Mike Massaro.
Well, Alan, you can see Dale Earnhardt trying to reel in Jeff Burton, but he may have some difficulty doing that. He had just radioed into crew chief Kevin Hamlin saying that he has his right front fender has been pushed in and a little bit of contact on the back straightaway.
Wow. So the fender's wrinkled in a little bit on Earnhardt's car, and he is going to need a caution flag pit stop to be able to do anything about that.
That's really big because these cars really depend on air going across the fenders and the hood to get downforce on the nose.
Frank Stoddard, Jeff Burton's crew chief, watching his progress up through traffic. We're early in the Pennzoil 400. Jimmy Spencer is the 2nd leader. You look at the top 6. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
NBC's presentation of NASCAR is brought to you by the Wide Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider is better. By UPS, moving at the speed of business. By new Pennzoil Synthetic with Pennzid. It's rocket science for your car. And by the Insider Pizza, new from Pizza Hut. Another one of the best pizzas under one roof.
Early in the Pennzoil 400 at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, NASCAR on NBC. Watching Bobby Labonte try to clinch the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship in the season's final race. Here's Labonte making a move on Steve Park for 3rd position.
But this other car on the inside of Steve Park, Tony Stewart, the thing everyone feared. All of a sudden, Stewart is making his presence known. He's marching towards the front of the top 6 cars. Tony Stewart, quicker than any of them.
So Labonte moves to 3rd, Stewart to 4th. Park is back to 5th. Behind leaders Jimmy Spencer and Ricky Rudd. Not going to take Stewart long to dispose of Bobby Labonte, I don't think. Let's get an update on Labonte's car. Here's Marty.
Well, so far in this championship quest weekend for Bobby Labonte, it's been fairly smooth. Qualified 3rd. That was pretty good. But in happy hour, the car was not that good. They made a lot of changes this morning, and he just got passed on the track by his teammate Tony Stewart. They changed rear springs. They changed a couple of shocks. They made a lot of changes because they felt like the car was not good enough to win. But as he told his father Bob when he got in the car, we may not win today, but I can guarantee you we're going to be tough.
Bobby running right now behind Stewart in 4th spot as Tony pretty much waved by Bobby.
And I think he's going to wave by the rest of these cars as well because it's just amazing how well he ran through the corner and how he closed up on Bobby Labonte as he came off turn 4. I was amazed at how well this car is getting grip off the corner.
In this race 1 year ago, Bobby Labonte led the most laps. He led 174 of the 267 laps, but it was Tony Stewart who wound up with the strongest car at the end of the race and went on to score the win. Little confrontation coming off pit road between the teammates that raised more than a few eyebrows inside the Joe Gibbs building, let alone up here in the broadcast booth. See Dale Jarrett beginning to close in on Steve Park. Park led the opening 9 laps.
Labonte goes by Tony Stewart, running in 3rd position now. He's a little over 3 seconds behind the leaders.
Here's what I was talking about a second ago. Last season at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, 20 laps to go. Stewart off pit road, comes out right alongside his teammate Bobby Labonte. This would be the race for the win. They go into turn number 3. Maybe Labonte expected his rookie teammate to give, but Tony had no such thing in mind. Bobby very lucky not to crash here when they made contact. Labonte gathered it up to finish second, but Tony Stewart went on to score the win.
We saw something like that yesterday in the NASCAR Busch Series. Elton Sawyer and Jason Leffler making contact, and Elton Sawyer did spin.
Coach Gibbs looking on at his two cars. Dave Burns.
Something else Greg Zipadelli told me this morning, Alan, was that last year, they know they ran second most of the day, but they really didn't feel like they had the car that could pass for the win. And it was late in the race, the way they had the car set up, that Tony felt he could make that pass. And as we showed in the video, he really made that pass.
See how quickly Stewart has moved away from Bobby Labonte. Back to the lead. Ricky Rudd getting a little bit closer to Jimmy Spencer. Last lap by, Rudd running just a couple of tenths of a mile an hour quicker than Spencer, but that's all you need to be able to catch him. Speed to get around him. It's another whole story.
That is another whole story. And we see Dale Jarrett on the inside of Steve Park as they exit turn 2. A battle for the 5th position. Let's give it to Jarrett. Our pole sitter, Steve Park, now is falling back to the 6th position. Almost 5.5 seconds behind the leader, Jimmy Spencer.
Well, Jarrett started in 7th. And moves up into the number 5 spot. We got the report on Steve Park's car earlier, pushing in the corner, the nose of the machine not wanting to turn. Let's relate that now to a topic that's been big throughout the entire weekend here at Homestead. Right front tires and some serious concerns on the part of the teams about their ability to push them very hard.
Well, there's a lot of compromise this morning on their chassis setup. To make these cars turn better in the middle of the corner, they give the cars negative camber. They lean that tire in at the top, and that would help the car turn right here. But unfortunately, when they do that, and they're also running some very soft springs set up as Ricky Rudd tries to take over that lead, they're gaining negative camber. They're really pushing that tire in at the top and only running on about 4 inches of rubber on the inside of the right front tire. And they're really concerned that they're only going to run 50 or 55 laps before they have to stop and change.
Oh! Trouble. Scott Pruitt in the wall. Turn 3. Another car involved. It looks like Andy Houston has also crashed. Those are teammates' cars. And that's a heavy, heavy impact for Pruitt. There's Andy Houston. First caution, lap 25.
That's unbelievable that 2 team cars could crash together like that. It looks like the only 2 cars involved.
First yellow of the race. Look at the significant squaring off of the back end of the Scott Pruitt car.
At least he's trying to get the car back to the pit area, which means that he should be okay.
Good news there for Scott, but serious damage there. Here's a look at it.
You see Pruitt on the inside. They go in the corner. And here Pruitt loses the back of the car. I guess he just barely touched the 96 as he was trying to correct the car, turn it back to the right, and just barely touched Houston to send him into a spin.
Cal Wells, the owner of these 2 cars, ought to make for an interesting Monday morning team meeting.
Oh, yes. And we see Pruitt's car will not roll because the sheet metal is jammed in against the left rear tire, and it will not roll.
Pit road is closed because of where Scott Pruitt's car has come to rest. There's Andy Houston climbing out of his machine. Good to see also. On to the first caution in the Pennzoil 400. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Back at Homestead-Miami Speedway, working the first caution of the Pennzoil 400 when teammates Scott Pruitt and Andy Houston crashed in turn number 3. Pit road open, and you see all of the leaders coming in. Let's mention that Ricky Rudd beat Jimmy Spencer back to the caution flag to take the lead. So Rudd, the 3rd different driver to be out in front. Only car to not pit here. Looks like Michael Waltrip's going to stay out. I believe Elliott Sadler's going to stay out. That's Elliott, top of the frame. Going to stay out, lead a lap to collect 5 bonus points. It'll be Rudd, Spencer, Stewart, Labonte, Jarrett, the order of the top 5 as they come onto pit road, and these stops will be as they complete the 27th lap. 45-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit today. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Jimmy Spencer radioed in. He said everything is fine. 4 tires is all we need. The temps are okay. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Almost all the cars are tight, Dave, but Ricky Rudd is a little bit loose. They're going to add 1 pound to the right front. That should tighten him up just a little bit. Let's go down to Mike Massaro.
This caution, a big break for Jeff Burton. He was nearly a half a lap behind the leader because the car was extremely loose. They've made an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. He's away. Alan?
Jeremy Mayfield got right side tires only, I believe. We'll check it, double check it to be absolutely sure, but I thought I caught him leaving with just the right side tires, and he's going to come out with the race lead on the stops.
Well, it worked very well for Jeremy Mayfield at Phoenix last week. Remember that first stop, he changed 2 right side tires, stayed up front for the rest of the day.
Jeremy was 13th coming down pit road, and he comes out with the race lead. And again, we'll double check to be positive, but I'm 99% sure that Mayfield got just right side tires on his stop. We'll update that and get the restart for you when we come back in just a moment. It is Jeremy Mayfield, the new leader of the Pennzoil 400 in Homestead.
Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, is the proud sponsor of the Bud Pole Award, presented to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Winston Cup event.
Late season testing at Homestead paid off Friday for Steve Park as he captured the Bud Pole in his sponsor's title race, his second Bud Pole of the year.
Since 1979, Anheuser-Busch has awarded more than $7 million as the title sponsor of NASCAR's Bud Pole Award program.
Rusty Wallace has been the dominator in Bud Pole qualifying so far this season, twice as many as the next driver. One final attempt for competitors to get in to next February's Bud Shootout, Friday in Atlanta. Jeremy Mayfield takes the lead with a 2-tire stop under this caution flag. Ricky Rudd holds the top spot that he had off of pit road. He was the best of the 4-tire stops, coming out second. Jimmy Spencer's third. Dale Jarrett getting a couple of positions gained on pit road. He's fourth. And in 5th position is Tony Stewart. Bobby Labonte back to 7th behind Steve Park. Here's what brought us under the yellow flag back at lap number 26. It happened up in turn 3.
Believe it or not, these cars are teammates. Scott Pruitt on the inside and Houston on the outside. They go in the corner, and Pruitt just gets the car a little bit loose, and I think he might have touched the 96 of Houston, and when he tried to steer it away from the 96, that's when the car spun. He backed it in the fence and on around the corner. Andy Houston backed his car in the outside retaining wall as well.
Both drivers out of their cars and okay, but will go to the garage with heavy damage on their machines. First 2 drivers behind the wall. Our pit summary, Jeremy Mayfield 13th to 1st.
I think you have to consider 2-tire change, because there's just no way in the world that he can change 4 and beat all these great teams off pit road. You see everyone else stayed about the same.
Want to check on Johnny Benson, also came in 26th. He's out in 10th, so we suspect he may have gotten 2 tires, and our reporters are following up on that for us, and we'll check on that in a moment. Field has been given the 1-to-go signal, so we'll go back under the green flag next time. To Marty Snyder on pit road.
And a lot of changes for Bobby Labonte. They took a pound out of both left side tires and a rubber out of the right front. That means his car was extremely tight. They wanted to loosen him up. Jimmy Maycar said, "How's the track?" He said, "I think it's going to get very slick, very quick." Ward Burton came in 11th on his pit stop. The car rolled off the jack. They lost a lot of spots. Came out in 25th. Let's go to Dave Burns.
The 88 of Dale Jarrett was in. Todd Parrott told me he was a little bit loose, so they put on the 4 tires and made an air pressure adjustment. As for Tony Stewart, he was tight. They took some wedge out of the left rear, and next time they told him, pit a little bit further into your box. He was almost out of it. Let's go to Mike Massaro.
Well, Andy Houston has just walked from the care center, and he appears to be okay. The question is, what happened on the racetrack, Andy? Could you see?
Well, I'm not really sure until I see a replay. It looked like the 32 had a run on me, had 2 or 3 cars behind him, and our car just started out a little too tight, and I was trying to hang tough there on the outside. I don't know if he got loose underneath me or what happened, but we both spun. It's real unfortunate for PPI Motorsports and McDonald's. You know, I'm looking forward to a great season next year with them, and we'll just get ready to go to Daytona now.
Well, guys, kind of a sour end to his 5th start here this year.
Jeremy Mayfield leading on the restart. Here's Dale Jarrett challenging Jimmy Spencer for 3rd, but he's getting, trouble. Ward Burton into the wall, going to collect a couple more.
I just crashed those guys, and there's a lot of stuff going on back there.
Someone just crashed him, he said, and a lot of stuff going on.
Just tell me if you're okay.
That was Tommy Baldwin, Morris Tucci. Mike Bliss is in it, Stacy Compton's in it, Ward Burton is in it. One other car up against the outside wall. There it is. That is Jeffrey Bodine in the 98. Hard crash for Bodine. I believe he was the first one into the accident after Ward Burton. There's Compton.
Got to watch that replay. Junk, Tommy. Ain't no fixing it today.
That is the spotter.
Spotter on the roof telling Tommy Baldwin that the car is just hurt too badly to fix it.
See Ward Burton unbuckling the safety equipment.
See the water coming out the front of the Caterpillar car. That means the radiator is broken.
5 cars involved in the crash. Hearing that Darrell Waltrip might have gotten a piece of that also. Let's take a look down at what happened.
Well, we see the cars coming off the corner, going in turn 3 and behind. All of a sudden, someone makes contact, and Ward Burton just goes around and around, and all the traffic behind him had no place to go. There's Bliss going down on the inside wall. Stacy Compton. Oh, he's going to run right in front of the... Darrell Waltrip. Yeah, yep. Darrell just missed that.
Ward had to get hit. Well, there it is. Look.
Earnhardt gets in the back of Ward Burton off turn 2. Turns Ward in the outside retaining wall. And there's the 66 car and of Darrell Waltrip. Another look. There's Terry Labonte, the green car. Pretty heavy contact between Mike Bliss and 20.
How did Ken Schrader get through the middle of that? Sorry, Benny. It just startled me that he made it through the smoke. Back bumper of Ward Burton's car. This will be interesting.
Just listen. That was Jeff Burton's car. All right, here, now listen to this. Oh.
So you want to be a race driver?
Not in situations like that, folks. You don't want to be.
Mike Bliss's car, significant damage. Just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And his car will be hooked up and brought back to the garage. Under caution for the second time in the Pennzoil 400 after a 5-car wreck on the back straightaway. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Second caution of the Pennzoil 400 at the Homestead-Miami Speedway for a multi-car accident on the back straightaway. The field bunched from a restart, contact in traffic. By the time it's done, 5 cars have received some major damage. Here's another look at what happened as the field raced up off of turn 2.
As we see the cars coming off turn 2, Dale Earnhardt, the 3 car, makes contact with the rear bumper of the 22 car. He starts spinning in the middle of the racetrack, leaving other cars just nowhere to go. It's a pretty good hard contact between the 9 of Stacy Compton and the 27 of Mike Bliss. There's a contact I was talking about. And Ward just turns her right in the wall.
How can you crash on the straightaway? Jeffrey Bodine there, the car making hard contact with Ward's.
One more look.
Bliss, no place to go.
Now here's the one that's the most dramatic. The onboard camera inside Ward Burton's car. Just listen. Now you ever see Earnhardt come off the corner? And there.
What we heard in Ward Burton's replay, the audio from that, Benny, was that he feathered the gas pedal a little bit. He just lifted off it a little in that traffic, and Dale didn't.
Well, Ward Burton was pushing. His car just picked up a terrible push off the corner. He was sliding up against the outside retaining wall. He had no choice but to back off the throttle.
To Mike Massaro.
Well, guys, the 90 car of Jeff Bodine pretty well mangled, damage on all 4 corners, but Jeff was still able to drive it behind the wall. Jeff, what happened?
Something happened on the back straightaway. My spotter said Earnhardt got into Ward Burton or something like that and just jammed the back straightaway up. And I tried to slow down and miss it, but got run in from behind and shoved into it, knocked in the wall. I got hit pretty hard in the driver's door, but, you know, as you can see, I'm okay. It's just a shame. One race deal with Chip McPherson with the Miccosukee Indian Tribe sponsoring the car. And we'd like to have a little better finish than this, but we're trying, and that's all you can do in this business.
Thank you, Jeff, and his day is over.
Come back to Homestead in just a minute. A lot of damage early in the Pennzoil 400 at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. 5 cars taken out in a crash when Dale Earnhardt got into the back of Ward Burton, collecting Jeffrey Bodine, Mike Bliss, Stacy Compton. All the drivers okay, but the caution flag out for a second time. Field going to get the signal. One more lap and we'll go racing when they come to the start-finish line this time. No pit stops among the lead lap cars. A couple at the back end of the field. We had Ken Schrader, Terry Labonte, and Bobby Hamilton stop, along with Elliott Sadler and Rick Mast. Let's go to Mike.
And Ward Burton has just walked from the care center. Ward is okay, but the car could not be said the same thing about that. Ward, what happened?
99 and 3 went on the outside of me, and 1 and 2. And I slid up a little bit off of 2, and the 3 car must have been on the outside of me. I haven't been able to see the replay, but I think it's probably a little bit of both. But it's a shame. The guys have worked real hard this weekend, but we haven't had the best of summer. Hopefully we'll get it turned around next week.
And it seemed ironic that you probably wouldn't have been back in that pack of cars if it weren't for a poor pit stop.
Yeah, well, part of that I have to take the blame for. So we have not been showing our potential here of late, but hopefully we'll get it turned around pretty quick.
Well, guys are very disappointed, Ward Burton.
Benny, how does he take the blame for a poor pit stop?
All Ward has to do on that pit stop is let his foot off the brake pedal. You have to keep that brake pedal depressed hard. If you let your foot off the brake, the rear wheel will start trying to turn, and there's a locker in the back. It will not turn. And when it just keeps trying, eventually it'll roll right off the jack.
And that put Ward back in traffic and got him caught up in the wreck on the restart. Here is the way the field stands. As we get set to go back racing, see Jeff Gordon up to 17th position. Jeff Burton in 24th, Dale Earnhardt in 26th. And the cars at the bottom of the screen, those in the garage involved in this most recent crash, as well as Houston and Pruitt involved in the first caution. Already got 7 cars, excuse me, in the garage area, and we've only run 38 laps of this race. Restart. Remember, Jeremy Mayfield just on 2 tires on his pit stop a little while ago. In the 7 car, 1 lap down after troubles on the pace lap of the race with an oil leak. Not able to get his lap back from the leader.
Ricky Rudd gets by Michael Walton's car. Gets off in pursuit of the 12 car. We'll see if he can chase down Jeremy Mayfield with that 2-tire stop.
Johnny Benson did also just get right side tires on his pit stop. Benson runs in 10th position. Let's go to Dave.
Well, Alan, Johnny Benson and Jeremy Mayfield both made 2-tire stops. Benson had just a little bit of problem with the car. It was really, really tight. They put a rubber in each, the right front and the right rear. Also, Jeremy Mayfield took 2 tires on as well. He had kind of a 4-wheel slide going, according to crew chief Peter Suspenzo.
Bobby Labonte needing to finish 5th or better to guarantee himself the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Now, that's not the only title picture today.
A lot of title pictures. Right now, he's in 7th spot, but his contenders are back in 23rd and 24th.
Race for 3rd, Jimmy Spencer, Dale Jarrett. Spencer wide. Jarrett trying to fill the hole.
Spencer's car pushing, going in the corner, unable to keep that car on the bottom of the racetrack. And if he keeps doing that, all these cars will be going by on the inside.
Right behind him, Tony Stewart there. Fastest man in the early part of the race, fastest man in final practice yesterday. Look at him close up on Jarrett.
Oh, and look, Jarrett's car wiggled. It came off the corner, which allowed Tony Stewart to turn left, get under the 88 car, and looked like he's going to take that spot away in turn 1. I don't know what Dale Jarrett can do about it. He might spin him out, but that's not exactly what you want to do.
You've never done that to anybody, have you?
No, as a matter of fact, I haven't.
Wanted to, though.
I wanted to a few times.
I'll bet you did. Now, Stewart made Jarrett's car wiggle.
Yes, he did. But he pulled up behind him, and that just takes air off that rear spoiler on the back of these cars, which gives these cars downforce, allows them to get through the corner. Another car pulls up behind you, lose that downforce in the back end, becomes very, very loose.
Watching Dale Earnhardt Jr. try to move up through. Here he's working on Kurt Busch. He's for the 11th position. Dale Jr. kind of hanging right where he started. He took the green flag in 12th spot.
Kurt Busch, just 22 years old. He's only going to run 7 events here in 2000, so he'll have his eligibility to be run for the Bestest Rookie of the Year award in 2001. Dale Jr., the 8-car, a contender this year.
These two drivers have had a couple of problems on the racetrack from time to time as third position changes hands. Stewart quite easily around Spencer.
And Jimmy Spencer just can't keep that car on the bottom of the racetrack. He lets it push up, allows the other cars to get position on the inside. Something that they'll have to work on all day long. Try to get it somehow, try to make changes to get it better.
Look how quickly he's left Spencer. Just in not even a half a lap, he's put that much distance on him.
And you can see the last lap. Oh, but here see Earnhardt trying to get under the 75 as Elliott is trying to get under Earnhardt.
Somebody had to give there. Bill Elliott was the one.
Going back in 75, if he could see what we had seen, he would have been not in that position. He'd be back about 15 car lengths.
He would have had the brake pedal on heavy, huh?
Yes, he would have.
20th position there for Earnhardt. Jeff Burton runs 19th. Bobby Labonte 7th. Back to the championship story for just a minute. As long as Bobby Labonte leads today's race with a lead of 185 points or better, 186 points or better to be safe, he is the NASCAR Winston Cup champion. There's Kurt Busch going by Johnny Benson for 10th spot. Benson, remember, just took 2 tires on his pit stop. Back on the first caution of the race, that stop at lap 27. Now that he's hung up in that outside lane, he may lose 5, 6 more spots. Wallace, Blaney, Gordon, they're all going to try and fill that hole.
He's losing all of his momentum, which allows all these guys to drive on the inside. Here comes Dave Blaney and 93 Rusty Wallace already by, and Jeff Gordon's going to try to take advantage.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
Well, this weekend, Johnny Benson and his crew chief James Inns thought they might have the field under control. It's the same car that David Green sat on the pole with here last year. Unfortunately, in Johnny's own words, the rest of the field kind of caught up to us.
Yeah, Benson qualified 14th, which is a little bit off the pole. Took the 2 tire, he'd fallen back to 20. Ooh, wow. Come on, guys, you're on the straightaway.
Yeah, that you're not supposed to wreck on the straightaway, the straight part of the racetrack, the curves, the turns, where you're supposed to have contact.
That's supposed to be where all the stuff happens. There's Brett Bodine in the 11th. Solid run for Brett. Been a solid weekend for him. So far, he's in 16th position now. He qualified in 9th. Talking to Mike Hillman, the crew chief on that car this morning, he said the stiffest spring in the car was in the right rear.
I talked to 3 or 4 people that said that same thing this morning. All putting weird spring combinations under these cars, trying to help them turn in the middle of the corner. Right here, the 11 car needs to go the other direction, but they've had trouble turning the wheel and sliding across the racetrack. Some really weird spring combinations in all these cars.
There's Bobby Labonte, NASCAR Winston Cup Championship leader, and here goes second place as Tony Stewart gets the run on Ricky Rudd.
This battle is going on about a second behind the leader, Jeremy Mayfield.
We saw Mayfield take just 2 tires in the Phoenix race last Sunday and be able to run far better than anyone expected. He's doing it again right now. His lap times very comparable to Rudd's and Spencer's and Jarrett's. The only problem for him is they're not comparable to Tony Stewart's. Tony is running clearly faster than Mayfield is and closing quickly. Here's a shuffle for 5th spot as Dale Jarrett loses not 1 but 2 positions.
2 spots as Steve Park got on inside the 88 car, opened the door for Bobby Labonte to go by. So all of a sudden Jarrett starting to struggle and falling back.
To Marty Snyder.
Well, Alan, if you believe in luck and good fortune, then Ward Burton's bad break is a good break for Bobby Labonte. When they picked pits yesterday, Bobby had an opening behind him. When Ward Burton fell out, he now has an opening in front of him on pit road. So Bobby Labonte will not have to deal with getting blocked in on pit road today, and that could be very key, especially on yellow flag pit stops.
Every little bit helps when you're trying to win a championship. Bobby Labonte running in 6th position right now. Jeremy Mayfield leads the Pennzoil 400 as our no breaks coverage continues from Homestead. You saw during our no breaks coverage 3 lead changes. Tony Stewart around Mayfield, Mayfield around Stewart, Rudd closed in. Finally, Stewart won out.
We didn't have to talk. All we could do was sit here and cheer as all that went on. But Tony Stewart now has things in hand, and here's Jeff Gordon battling with Kurt Busch.
12th position here. Busch has dropped back from 10th spot, where he was running a little while ago, as Dale Jr. gets a spot on Rusty Wallace. That'll be 10th. So Jr. to 10th, Rusty to 11th, Gordon to 12th, Busch now 13th. Dave Burns with an update on Jeff Gordon.
Well, this morning I talked with Robbie Loomis, his crew chief, and even though they won the Busch Grand National race yesterday, they did that knowing that they could make their Winston Cup car better. They changed the left side springs, and what he told me was that that was really for the balance of the car and running on the apron. Remember at the race's end yesterday, we here saw that they ran around that apron a lot during the final stages.
Apron being the part of the racetrack below that yellow line all the way down toward the grass. You see the line there?
You mean that spot Jeff Gordon's running on right now, folks? That is the apron of the racetrack. We talked about the banking at this speedway. Only 6 degrees banking. The apron is extremely flat. But yet we saw a lot of cars there yesterday, passing cars.
Bobby Labonte just passed Steve Park for 5th position. And now Ricky Rudd starting to apply some pressure on Jeremy Mayfield for 2nd. I think the 2-tire only thing is about run its course for Mayfield. Marty?
Well, Benny, when you brought up the apron, I talked to Dale Jarrett this morning, and he said, you know, it's kind of weird. He tried the apron, tried to get his left front tire on the apron in happy hour, and he found out it had a lot of grip, but he wasn't sure about it. Then he watched the Busch race, and he saw Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon put their left front tire down on the apron below the yellow line. That is where the grip is at this racetrack.
Ricky Rudd to 2nd, around Jeremy Mayfield.
I don't know that the apron of the racetrack has more grip. It just helps the driver with his line. He's able to get down closer to the grass, make the racetrack a little smaller, and make the racetrack a little bit rounder, which helps him as he exits the corner and takes some of that push away.
You don't think it have any, the pavement there would have any additional grip, because the running groove from that yellow line up has got all the rubber worked into it from all the kinds of racing they run here.
Well, I think right now it may have more grip. It probably will lose some as all these cars go down on the apron of the racetrack.
Jeff Burton is running back in 16th position. There's a look at Jeff.
Trying to close in on the back bumper of Joe Nemechek, the 33 car. This battle is about 14 seconds behind Tony Stewart.
Telemetry and what's going on with Burton's car. He's made up half the distance he needs to so far. He started 31st, and he's up to 16th.
And he's trying that high line just like he used yesterday in the NASCAR Busch Series, like he used at Phoenix last week to win both races, the Busch race on Saturday, the Cup race on Sunday. But he's only doing it down in 1 and 2. As Nemechek, well, actually he's doing it up in 3 and 4. Yesterday he would only do it in 1 and 2 and run the bottom up in 3 and 4. And look at these cars dance around off the corner. Nemechek trying to fight that thing as he got off the corner, allowed Burton to get on the inside, takes his spot away.
So Jeff Burton to 15th position. Next car in front of him will be the Kurt Busch machine. He's got about a half a second to make up. You see the interval there. For Jeff Burton, 3rd in points coming into this race, 226 behind Bobby Labonte, trying to keep himself from being closed out, but in talking with the team this morning, also realizing that they may be relegated to trying to make sure they get 2nd from Dale Earnhardt in these final 2 races of the season. Labonte, you know, there's nothing they can do about Bobby unless he has a problem. Watching Kurt Busch take the spot away from Rusty Wallace there. That's 13th position. Let's get more on Jeff Burton. Here's Mike Massaro.
Alan, the last pit stop for Jeff Burton was a blessing. Before that caution came out, the car was extremely loose. They brought the car down pit road, changed 4 tires, took on fuel, made an air pressure adjustment, tightened the car up. That has fixed it and allowed them to move towards the front. However, on that pit stop, they had a problem with the right front lug nuts. That set them back a little bit, but they're making up for it right now on the racetrack.
Busch, Wallace, and Burton, 13th, 14th, and 15th. There's that high lane again.
Don't you love it? Jeff Burton going places that no one else goes. All the other cars on the bottom of the racetrack, right near the yellow line, below the yellow line on the apron of the racetrack, and he's up high.
What I like about it is that he's not afraid to try it. Sometimes a lot of drivers get to where on a racetrack like this, gotta hug that yellow line, gotta hug that yellow line, and I like that Burton is not afraid to go out there and see if it'll help his lap times.
Yes, I'm impressed with Burton trying this different lines, trying to find some speed by changing his line around the racetrack. Now, this is Casey Atwood. We put a camera here trying to show you how much that tire is leaned in at the top. This is the right front tire. It goes down in the corner, and look how the tire goes in at the top. Let's take a look at a virtual garage from NBC. Negative camber. We're talking about the top of the tire leaned in. Here's where they adjust it and bring the top of the tire in or take it out. Most of these guys want all the camber they can get, leaning that tire in dramatically. Unfortunately, only the inside of the tire meets the racetrack, and that's where it wears.
And you look at it live. The inside edge of the tire being pressed into the racetrack much harder. You can see the daylight under the outside edge of Casey Atwood's car.
Watch as he goes down in the corner, and as the spring travels, we see the inside of the top of the tire go in, gaining camber.
And believe it or not, right here on the straightaway is actually where it's a bigger problem because of the funky chassis setups they're running on these Winston Cup cars anymore.
Yes, they're running so soft springs, the air is literally pushing the car down, and that negative camber, that tire is leaned in at the top the entire mile and a half around the speedway. It never gets to relax and ride on the outside of the tire and use the entire tread. Just 4 or 5 inches on the inside of the tire is all they're using on the right front.
Casey Atwood running in 9th position. One of the drivers will be coming to the NASCAR Winston Cup Series in 2001. Kurt Busch and Andy Houston also in today's race, coming full-time to the circuit next year. Busch running in 13th for Jack Roush. Andy Houston out in a crash at lap 26. Tony Stewart is leading the Pennzoil 400. About to catch the tail end of the field and try and put the 35th place runner, Ken Schrader, a lap down. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Jimmy Spencer has just taken 3rd position away from Jeremy Mayfield in the Pennzoil 400. Lap number 72 completed by the leaders now. As Tony Stewart continues to be out in front, Ricky Rudd is 2nd. Spencer and Mayfield in 3rd and 4th. Bobby Labonte runs in 5th position. So far, everything going Tony Stewart's way in the early going. He's caught the tail end of the field and now putting cars a lap down. Let's get an update from pit road and Dave Burns.
And Alan, he's been pretty calm on the radio, as you might expect, checking temperatures, reporting those to Greg Zipadelli and the crew, letting them know what's going on. But in the process, he said something kind of scary. He said, "I'm just babying the car."
Not scary for Greg Zipadelli, but scary for the competition.
When the car's handling well, and drivers will tell you this, when the car's handling well, it's much easier than when you have to fight the handling. We look back on the race for 9th position. Not much of a race for long. Jeff Gordon by Casey Atwood. Gordon started in 28th, so he's moved up nicely into the top 10.
And I'm sure that Jeff Gordon learned a great deal in that NASCAR Busch Series race yesterday afternoon. After all, 300 miles of practice before a 500-mile race can't be a bad thing.
Of course, Casey Atwood driving for Ray Evernham, Jeff Gordon's mentor in Winston Cup racing, if you will. They had so much success together. Now Ray off to head up the Dodge effort for 2001 and selecting young Casey Atwood to be his driver, one of his drivers. This is for 7th position. Mark Martin trying to hold off Dale Jarrett.
Talked to Jimmy Fenning this morning, the crew chief on Mark Martin's car, as Mark sees the pressure from Dale Jarrett and says, "Okay, DJ, go ahead. I'll ride behind a while and see if you can run faster than I can. I talked to Fending. He said a lot of weird springs and shocks on this car today because they're trying to get ready for 2001. Try some things, see how they work, and try to figure out what they've got to do next year to go up and challenge for the championship.
You know, Jeff Gordon's team did the same thing when they came here Friday, Benny. Jeff told me before qualifying they had put a totally experimental setup under the car, went out in Friday morning practice, didn't like it at all, and they lost a good part of practice Friday trying to change the car back to their setup from a year ago, which kind of explains why Jeff only qualified in 28th position. Steve Park in 6th position in the 1 car. Bobby Hamilton is a lap down in 35th in the 4, and we look ahead from Park to 5th place runner Bobby Labonte, and you can see quite a gap between them.
About 2 seconds between Park and Labonte. Bobby Labonte running right on that yellow line. He's certainly not trying any weird things. He's got a pretty weird chassis set up like the rest of them, but he's probably more conservative than the rest as well because he's here to try to win the war, not the battle. This is just a battle, the championship being the war.
There you look at the championship contenders. Jeff Burton running back in 13th, Dale Earnhardt in 18th, and Bobby Labonte in 5th. If he finishes ahead of the both of them, he gets the trophy today. If it does finish this way, Jeff Burton does take away 2nd from Dale Earnhardt in the championship standings with 1 race to go. This will be the Atlanta race next Sunday. Here's Burton trying that wide line again in 1 and 2 as he races Dale Earnhardt Jr. for 12.
This battle is, they're about 16 seconds behind Tony Stewart. I don't think Jeff Burton can win the race running that high line. I think to win the race, he'll have to make adjustments, get to the bottom of the racetrack like all the other cars, but he can certainly get to the top 5 by running that line, and traffic will not be nearly as much of a problem for him as it will other cars. When he runs across slower cars and they go to the bottom of the racetrack, he'll just drive by on the outside.
That last stat you saw, kind of the story of Jeff Burton's season for the most part. Struggle in qualifying, pass an awful lot of cars during the race. It is Tony Stewart who leads the Pennzoil 400, just past 100 miles. This afternoon's event, there are the top 6. Bobby Labonte trying to lock up the championship, running in the 5th position. Tony Stewart leading the Pennzoil 400 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series at the Homestead-Miami Speedway by 1.58 seconds over Ricky Rudd. John Andretti went behind the wall while we were away in a break. We'll get an update on what has happened to the Petty Enterprises car in a moment. Pass that on to you.
Tony Stewart as we're right along with Tony as he comes off the corner right behind Terry Labonte. Closes up, goes down to the inside, trying to put Labonte a lap down. He will.
25th place car is Terry going a lap down. We have had green flag pit stops from Johnny Benson, Ken Schrader, Elliott Sadler, Bobby Hamilton, and now Matt Kenseth is in getting service.
4 tires completed. Kenseth spin those rear tires and takes back off to the race.
Leaders last stopped at lap 27 for most of the field. Under the caution flag at that point, so it's been 50 laps. Expect in the next 10 laps, we'll see all of the front runners in for service. Casey Atwood running in 11th spot, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 12th.
Dale Jr. this year a rookie challenger. Next year, Casey Atwood, a rookie challenger. This year, rookie. Dale Jr. drives under, takes a spot away, puts him in 11th.
For Dale Earnhardt Jr., his rookie season in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series has been a long lesson. He got off to a very fast start with a couple of wins early. He took a victory in Texas in April. Got another win later on in the season. Last one at Richmond in May. Another victory at Charlotte in the non-point all-star race in May. But the summer, they've kind of learned just how long and hard the grind is of a full NASCAR Winston Cup season.
Yes, I talked to Tony Urey Sr., the team manager on this car. He said, we just found out how tough it is not having Sundays off like we did last year, not having that half-day Thursday off, and being the big guys on Little Pond. Now here we're just small guys we've got to work all the time. Dale Jr., the 8-car driver, is finding out how tough it is to race against these guys. He's had some crashes. They've had to repair those crashes. He said, we are just a crew. The entire crew is just physically exhausted.
Kind of like what a rookie in the NBA goes through about 2/3 of the way through that 80-game season. He finds out it's a lot more taxing than he thought. Let's go to Marty.
Well, it's been a terrific run so far for Brett Bodine. They had a nice run going at Phoenix last week, but had an incident on pit road when they hit Tony Stewart. This will be a 4-tire stop. A little bit tight for Brett Bodine. He's off and back out on the racetrack.
Watching Bodine use that access road inside of turns 1 and 2 that you have to make the run around to get back onto the racetrack. A lot of questions in the drivers' meeting this morning. Not so much about the exit road from the pit lane, but the entry into the pits, which is a little tricky. And under the caution flag, a little concerning to the drivers about the rules and making sure they don't get busted for a penalty.
There we see Kendrick and Tony Stewart passing Tony Stewart after those 4 fresh tires. So Tony Stewart sees the car pass him and go on. He's going to start yelling to the crew chief, Greg Zippadelli, look, I need 4 fresh tires, 4 fresh tires.
So Mike Massaro.
Wally Dallenbach now on pit road as well. Team just finished completing work on the right side. They swing around to the left side. A 4-tire change of fuel for Wally Dallenbach. He's away.
16.8. That's a very good pit stop for Dallenbach and his crew.
Wally and team needing sponsorship for next season, one of a number of unsettled things as we reach the end of the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup campaign. This is 4th position. Steve Park under Jeremy Mayfield. Remember, Mayfield took just 2 tires on his stop at lap 27, so he's still on the left side tires he started the race on 90 laps ago.
And he's 12.5 seconds behind the leader, Tony Stewart. So my guess is the next time that situation pops up, unless it's just 15 or 20 laps to go in the race, Peter Suspenzo and all his team will change 4 tires on the 12, not gamble on those 2-tire stops.
We talked about John Andretti going behind the wall. Mike Massaro, what happened?
Ellie Allen, it's a problem with the valve train. Something is broken. He's back in the garage right now. Team is going to work on the 43 car, trying to get him back in the show.
Andretti joining a number of other drivers who are out of the race already. A 5-car crash and a 2-car crash in the opening 33 laps of this event. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is on pit road, and here comes the leader, Tony Stewart. Stewart is in as he completes his 92nd circuit of the race. First of the top 5 to make the move to pit road as you watch the Dale Jr. stop.
I love to watch a pit stop. This is like watching a play in New York.
Today Burns to cover Tony Stewart's stop.
The leader is in. They call for a wedge adjustment on the left rear. There it goes. Wrench going in. Right side tires going on for Tony Stewart. Tire carrier rolling away the tires as they go to the left-hand side. And now left side tires going on for Tony Stewart, the leader. The fuel is full, and he is out of here. Mike Massaro.
Tires and fuel along with a track bar adjustment for Jeremy Mayfield, but problems for Jeff Burton on pit road. He overshot his pit stall, had to back it in. Team has a lot of work to do. Car's been loose. Back to Dave Burns.
And Dale Jarrett is already out of here. Mike Skinner nearly gets hit by Jeff Gordon coming in. Gordon leading after 4 tires. Mike Skinner coming in. They are going to the right side as well. Cleaning the windshield for Mike. They go around to the left-hand side now. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
And Ricky Rudd is in. The car is a little bit loose. They're going to add a ½ pound to the right front. That's it. He's very happy with it right now. He just wants it tightened up just a little bit. He wants the grill clean. The car is running a little bit hot. They think they have a car that can win the race. Ricky Rudd back out on the racetrack.
Park getting service from his team. Bobby Labonte has just led a lap when all of these other leaders pitted. That is important in the championship picture because it makes it 6th or better to guarantee him the title today. Here's Labonte giving up the lead to come on pit road now. His stop as he completes his 93rd lap.
So as soon as he got those 5 bonus points, he quickly comes to pit road because he can't stay out there and run on those used tires while his competitors are there with new ones. Let's go down to Marty Snyder.
And Ricky Rudd, Bobby Labonte did pick up those 5 precious bonus points. He started tight. He is loose towards the end of this run. They did make a wedge adjustment. They're also taking 1 pound out of both rear tires. Now that will give him more forward bite, more grip off of the turns. That is the air pressure adjustment. They dropped the jack and he's back out on the racetrack.
Wow, look at those numbers. Under all that kind of pressure, around 15 seconds, change 4 tires, fill it with fuel, and don't run over each other in the pit road. It's amazing how well these guys do.
Joe Gibbs has a program with his team where he pays them a bonus for every pit stop that's under a certain time. For every pit stop that's over that time, they pay him.
They got paid for that stop. There's no doubt about that.
They collected. So Bobby Labonte cycles back out in the reshuffle of things during the pit stop. As you watch Mark Martin and Steve Park battle for 8th, Ricky Rudd has come out with the lead. Rudd ahead of Tony Stewart.
This battle is going on about 18 seconds behind Ricky Rudd.
As you watch Martin now lead Park for that 8th position. So it is Ricky Rudd taking the lead from Tony Stewart on the green flag pit stops. Rudd visited pit road a lap later than Stewart, so you can't attribute that to fresher tires. It was simply Rudd's crew getting the job done faster.
And there's a battle for the lead. The 28 car, Ricky Rudd, the leader. The 20 car, you're right along with Tony Stewart. Mike Skinner in front, about to go a lap down, back in 22nd position.
How long will it take? That's the question. As dominant as Tony Stewart has been for the last 100 miles or so of this race.
Oh, look at him drive up right on the back bumper, drive on the inside. Use the apron of the racetrack. He has position. He will take the lead down the backstretch.
Okay, so the answer is not long.
Not long.
Tony Stewart back out in front of Ricky Rudd. Into the number 1 spot. So Stewart, the dominant driver in the race so far. Rudd back to 2nd. Jimmy Spencer has come out 3rd from the pit stops. Jeremy Mayfield 4th. And Dale Jarrett 5th. Then it is Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, Steve Park, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., the top 10 after the green flag pit stop. So go to Marty Snyder.
All right, you're looking at Bobby Labonte's tire. This is one that just came off. This was a 66-lap run. This is Gary McClure, one of the team members who checked the tires. There's the cords. That is the inside of the right front tire. And now let's go up pit road to Dave Burns.
Well, Marty, here is the inside of the right front tire for Tony Stewart. No cord showing, and I talked to the guys whether they like the look of the wear on the tires. They said yep. So not only does Tony Stewart feel very comfortable in the car, his tires are looking great.
Wow, that is impressive that as well as this Tony Stewart car is running, he's able to get that entire right front tire working for him. Bobby Labonte, see what, if he had blown that right front tire, he had wished he had not run that extra lap trying to get those 5 extra points.
And Mark Martin by Bobby Labonte to pick up the 7th spot, so Bobby not running quite as well here after that pit stop, maybe deciding to take it a little easier.
They might have looked at that right front tire and said, Bobby, you've got to back up just a little bit.
He's got a pad right now on Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt. Burton is back in 15th. Earnhardt is in 18th. And remember that really all Bobby needs to do to win the championship today is race them to a draw. Somewhere finish around them. That tire goes through because he's worn it out. It could be big. Take away all of his advantage in the championship. There are the leaders after the pit stops. As we close in on the midway point of the Pennzoil 400 in Homestead, Tony Stewart has been the dominant driver so far. A rough start to the event, a 5-car crash earlier, then a round of green flag pit stops. Through it all, Joe Gibbs watches as Bobby Labonte continues to try and win the Winston Cup.
Of NASCAR is brought to you by new Pennzoil Synthetic with Pennzoil. It's rocket science for your car. By Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. By McDonald's, we love to see you smile. And by Team Monte Carlo, more champions depend on Chevy.
Here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, Tony Stewart continues to lead the Pennzoil 400. He has just completed the 104th of 267 laps for Stewart. Quite a familiar position in this race. Last year, Tony Stewart capped off his amazing rookie season with a win here in Homestead. After dueling with his teammate Bobby Labonte off of pit road, he led the last 10 laps of the race en route to his record-setting 3rd win of his rookie season, 1999. Stewart showering the team with the Gatorade.
It was okay as long as he was spraying them with paper, but that Gatorade was too good.
Much better to drink than wear. Our race summary, 9 lead changes, some of them during green flag pit stops, 2 caution flags, had a record lap 26 between teammates Andy Houston and Scott Pruitt, a record lap 33 when Dale Earnhardt ran into the back of Ward Burton and spun him in the back straightaway, collecting Mike Bliss, Stacy Compton, and Jeffrey Bodine. All of those cars, all 6 of those I mentioned involved in the 2 accidents, are out of the race. John Andretti is also retired with an engine problem, and Darrell Waltrip has just taken his car behind the wall.
We see Bill Elliott about to go a lap down with to the 20 car. Tony Stewart. And I think that Bill Elliott will love to see this season come to an end.
Here are pit summary numbers from the round of green flag stops we had a minute ago. Lap 88 to 92 or so for most of the leaders. Jeff Burton not faring as well on his series of pit stop, or his pit stop a moment ago during the series of service. He is now back in 15th position. Mike Massaro, what happened?
Been a good day on pit road for Jeff Burton. He has lost a total of 5 positions. The first stop earlier in the day, they had a problem with the air wrench on the right front tire. This time, Jeff simply overshot his pit stall, had some difficulty locating where he was supposed to stop, had to back it in. It was a 19-second stop. They lost 3 positions there. The car was loose. They made a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. They're currently 15th on the track.
6th spot just changed hands. Mark Martin around Dale Jarrett. Mark's really coming on here.
He really is, and we got a report from the pit area that his right front tire looked about like Bobby Labonte's, so I guess he decided to heck with it.
Mark finished 2nd to Jeff Gordon in the Miami 300 NASCAR Busch Series race here in Homestead yesterday. Drove and drove and drove to try and catch Gordon, but just decided with what they had seen on their tires earlier in the race that he needed to settle for 2nd. It ended up being the way it turned out, but I think Mark was quite disappointed at not winning his final Busch Series race.
I know he was, because he really wanted to win every race this year in the NASCAR. Crown in touch to his seasons over his career over the NASCAR, what, 15 years, something like that, in the NASCAR Busch Series?
45 wins. Johnny Benson pointing Mark Martin by out the window. Mark passing Johnny there. Johnny back in 26th position, a lap down. Here's Dale Earnhardt trying to move up, racing for 18th position with Joe Nemechek. He better get moving fast. Nemechek is the last car on the lead lap, and Tony Stewart is catching him.
As a matter of fact, Tony Stewart is about a half straightaway behind Earnhardt. That's Bobby Hamilton Jr., the car behind Nemechek, and the next car is Tony Stewart.
Remember that Dale Earnhardt, early in the race, opening couple of laps, had some contact with another car and pushed in the right front fender on his Chevy a little bit, and that affects the handling. How?
Oh, they use the fenders to get downforce on the front of the car, and if you knock the thing in, you lose some downforce, and you lose the ability to make the car turn a little bit better in the corner.
Earnhardt 34 seconds behind Tony Stewart, and Tony catching him very quickly as he gets around Bobby Hamilton Jr. Hamilton Jr.'s NASCAR Winston Cup debut here in Homestead today. 22-year-old son of the veteran Winston Cup driver. Been a regular in the NASCAR Busch Series in this 2000 season. Mike Massaro, how about more on Bobby Hamilton Jr.?
Well, a big moment for the entire Hamilton family. Of course, this is Bobby Hamilton Sr.'s 300th career Winston Cup start. Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s debut in the Winston Cup Series. I talked to Bobby Hamilton right before the event this afternoon, and he said, well, this is a threefold event. The 3 accomplishments they want to have are to first help the truck team improve. That's the crew that they brought to the racetrack today. Also, help give Bobby Hamilton Jr. a little bit of confidence because there's no pressure. And at the same time, help him prepare for some adjustments next year in the Busch Series. The Busch Series will be making an engine change, going to a 12-to-1 compression ratio. Very much the same as what they're running today in the Winston Cup Series.
The Hamiltons, one of several family combinations in today's race. You see 5 sets of brothers and 2 father-son combinations.
Wow, I mean, that's 14 people in this race directly related, either brothers or father-son.
It's really unusual, I think, in a sport where there are only 43 individual participants on any given Sunday to have that many siblings and fathers and sons together.
But fathers and sons and brothers understand how the business works. If you go out and to hire a race car driver, you need to hire someone that understands how the business works. So Rusty Wallace, he's been in this business for a long, long time, since 1980. And obviously, you're looking for a race car driver. Kenny Wallace understands the ins and outs, how tough it is, how easy it is.
Joe Nemechek, 19th place, 1 lap down. Next up, Dale Earnhardt for leader Tony Stewart. Earnhardt has a history of not going a lap down very easily, and I would expect he'll give Stewart all he can handle here.
This might be exactly what Ricky Rudd is looking for to close in. Right now, Rudd is about a second behind Tony Stewart, but as he battles with Dale Earnhardt, maybe Rudd can come up. Oh, no. I thought Tony Stewart's going to be able to drive on the inside because Dale Earnhardt got the car pushing off the corner, could not quite get there.
Maybe a result of that fender he got knocked in the opening couple of laps.
Earnhardt on the throttle, back off the throttle. Tony Stewart's trying. He wants to get on the inside. Will Earnhardt let him go? Looks like he has to.
Doesn't have much choice there. Look at this. Earnhardt chops the nose off of Stewart's Pontiac. Wow. Earnhardt fighting, going a lap down as Stewart trying to get him behind him. That'll be a big obstacle for Joe Gibbs Racing and his teammate Bobby Labonte if he can put Earnhardt a lap down here.
Ricky Rudd has already closed half the distance between himself and Tony Stewart. He's a little over second now. He's a little over a half second behind the leader. And there you see Ricky Rudd just a few car lengths behind Tony Stewart.
Earnhardt passing Kevin LePage. Kevin in 31st position, about to go 2 laps down to the leader. Look at how far up the racetrack Dale is. Seems to be working for him. Maybe he just discovered something by accident. When Stewart got underneath him and he had to run the outside, maybe he found out he could make a better lap time there. So Stewart continues to track Dale Earnhardt, the 18th place runner, try and put him a lap down. As we have Tony Stewart out in front of the Pennzoil 400 coming up on the midway point of today's race. Bobby Labonte, the championship leader, back in 7th position. Green flag pit stops a moment ago. Everybody under pressure to get their driver all they could. Tony Stewart and Ricky Rudd's teams getting the job done best right now. They hold the top 2 spots. We're back with more of NASCAR on NBC in a minute. As we come back to the Homestead-Miami Speedway, Tony Stewart squeezes in front of Dale Earnhardt to finally put him a lap down.
And there's 2 crews on pit road. Oh,
look out!
No, Earnhardt almost in the back of Tony Stewart down in 1. I started to say there's 2 crews on pit road that are delighted. Tony Stewart was able to do that. His crew and Bobby Labonte's crew, because now Earnhardt's ability to win has been reduced greatly, going a lap down.
Earnhardt's still running that high line he tried the first time Stewart got underneath him. It helped him for a while because he'd actually moved away from Tony for a bit, but they were in lap traffic. When Stewart's car got out into the open air, he quickly closed back on Earnhardt and moved around him. 2nd place, Ricky Rudd, about to dust off the 7-time champ.
Well, he's going to try to anyway.
Well,
I started to call that pass already made, but that would have been an early call, kind of like they did last Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a particularly sensitive topic here in Florida right now, I would imagine. So Earnhardt back in 18th spot, a lap down. Mike Massaro asked him before the race if he was watching his chance to win that 8th championship fade away today, and he kind of talked like he wasn't ready to concede yet, but I think about now, he's pretty frustrated.
Kurt Busch has gone a lap down, the 97 car. He's in 17th position.
Stewart continues to set a blistering pace. Tell you what, Rudd is staying right with him, stride for stride. Lap times pretty comparable. Remember, Ricky's team got him the lead on the green flag pit stops back in lap 90 and 91. Tony ran him down and passed him, but he really hasn't gotten away. In fact, that's the biggest lead he's had from lap 91 to where we are now at lap 124. Marty Snyder on pit road with an update for us. Marty?
Well, guys, crew chiefs really have a tough time making a car work at a flat track. There are 4 things that a crew chief will do to get a car to turn at a flat track. They'll run a very soft left front spring and a very hard or stiff right rear spring. They will also run shocks that when they hit the brakes, they'll keep the nose of the car down, and they'll run a big rear sway bar. All of this is designed to keep the left front of the car down, the right rear of the car up. It's like when you go down the highway, you put your arm out the window, it goes along fine when it's straight, but when you put your arm down, the arm goes down, the air pushes the arm down, and that causes downforce. That's what they're trying to gain at these flat tracks. Soft left front springs, stiff right rear springs.
And a look at why this racetrack is very difficult to get a handle on as far as the chassis is concerned.
Just 6 degrees of banking. There you sit, Homestead-Miami, 6 degrees, Daytona 31. These cars go in the corner at 175 miles per hour. When you turn left on the flat racetrack, you have to brake, slam on the brakes, use spring and shocks. On these big 31 degrees at Daytona, that banking helps the car go around the corner.
Bottom line is the cars just go a little too fast into the corner for the amount of banking there is there to hold them.
Well, they have to, you're right, they just got to brake. Tony Stewart hard on the brakes now, and they've worked hard with springs and shocks, just like Marty Snyder told us. Now we hear him play with the throttle off the corner. 31 degrees Daytona, these cars never back off the throttle, all the way around the corner, wide open.
So if a flat racetrack is difficult for NASCAR Winston Cup cars to be properly hooked up on and to race side by side, because it's been a criticism of this racetrack, it's so flat you can't race side by side in the corners. They need to change the racetrack?
I think you do. You know, it's just 6 degrees banking. Okay, 6 degrees, let's run the bottom groove at 6 degrees, but go in and give them 3-4 more degrees up where the yellow car is. Let's put some more banking so that someone can pass on the outside or run about the same speed around the corner as the car on the bottom groove. Let's have some side-by-side racing.
Banked racetracks make for better racing for the fans of NASCAR Winston Cup competition. I think we've seen that, and it would be helpful to have a little more banking in that upper lane here to allow them to run side by side.
We saw a terrific race. Charlotte is banked 24 degrees, mile-and-a-half speedway. And back in October, we saw a terrific race down there.
46 lead changes in that one. Talladega, a little bit of a different animal because it's the track with the aerodynamic tricks, rules, and the restrictor plates, but we had 49 lead changes in that race. There is no track beside Bristol banked more steeply than Talladega on the Winston Cup circuit, so banking is better for NASCAR cars.
But one reason NASCAR, when this racetrack was redesigned, they wanted this racetrack to put a little more banking in the corners, 12, 14 degrees. But the owners here at this racetrack wanted to run open wheel cars as well as stock cars. And in doing that, if they put more banking in, the open wheel cars simply run too fast. 230 degrees with 12, 14 degrees. So they decided to compromise at 6 degrees. Stock cars need more. Open wheel cars, this is about right.
NASCAR Winston Cup racing is the big show anymore. For a speedway, it's selling all the seats versus a lot of other forms of racing. So you'd think they'd get a little more weight in a decision over how to design a racetrack, especially for some of these newer tracks that are being built now.
Now you would think that NASCAR Winston Cup style racing would be taking #1 in consideration for the type of racetrack that you want.
Tony Stewart trying to manage this flat racetrack, and right now managing it better than everybody else. He's moved away from Ricky Rudd by a 1.5 seconds over the last 15 laps, and we're getting to the midway point of this race, about to come up on halfway.
And last time by, Tony Stewart, the leader, a mile per hour faster than Ricky Rudd. He's still running over 46 mile per hour average. Joe Gibbs watching things. This could be a big day for the coach.
I talked with Joe this morning. I said, how you doing? He said, I'm nervous. I talked with some of the crew guys earlier. He was more nervous than they were. They were all pretty relaxed, but Joe, he was wound up pretty tight. Trying to win another ring to add to his collection. Bobby Labonte running in 7th spot behind these 6 in the Pennzoil 400. Tony Stewart continues to lead the Pennzoil 400. We've just gone past the halfway point of the race, 2 laps past halfway. It happened during the break as far as the leaderboard is concerned. Stewart, Rudd, Spencer, Mayfield, and Gordon. Now, Dale Earnhardt got by Kurt Busch a minute ago to take the 17th spot away. Watch this.
You know, we call Dale Earnhardt the Intimidator. Here's why. Going down in the corner, Kurt Busch goes in the corner. Earnhardt said, now, son, I'm going to show you how to get some out of the way. There, you just touch him in the left rear. He goes up the racetrack. You go on. He gets the car back under control. No damage is done. Now, that's how you do it.
Now, it was a couple of races ago at Rockingham when Earnhardt Jr. and Kurt Busch got into it on the racetrack. Now, Daddy Dale owns Junior's car. I think he was saying, remember me? That was a lot of money I spent fixing that car.
That could very well be. I talked to Kurt Busch out in California about that, and he said, one thing I've got to learn about this business, I've got to learn where the front bumper is on my car.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
And Benny, I imagine that he will remember that and learn that very, very well. I talked with Jeff Hammond, his temporary crew chief, this morning, and he said, you know what, Kurt really does think like a racer. His feedback is, and I quote, phenomenal. So he believes that Kurt Busch is probably going to be Rookie of the Year next year, though it's going to be tough. And he thinks probably within 3 years he could contend for a championship.
Kurt Busch has shown an enormous amount of talent in a short period of time. 22 years old, out of Las Vegas. Ran the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series as a rookie this year. First race out of the box at Daytona. Got a top 5 finish. Went on to score 4 victories during the year.
Kurt Busch last year at this time, 1 year ago, the driver of the 97 car was working at the Las Vegas Water Department.
Yep. And all of a sudden, he's in a Winston Cup car at Homestead a year later. Tony Stewart, one of 15 cars on the lead lap. There's the interval from Stewart back to Ricky Rudd. Runs in second, 1.19 seconds. Is the time on the stopwatch.
And we see Jerry Nadeau in the 25 car has gone a lap down to Tony Stewart.
Long way back from Stewart to Jimmy Spencer. That's Elliott Sadler, also a lap down. Still waiting on Spencer. Still waiting on Spencer. There he is, finally onto the backstretch. That is 12.1 seconds back from the leader. Great run for Jimmy, though.
Yes, it is.
Spencer back to Jeremy Mayfield now, running in fourth.
And about 3 seconds back to Jeremy. He's in the, as you said, 4th spot, followed closely by Kevin LePage in the 16. LePage is, what did you say, 2 laps down a bit ago?
Yeah, Kevin is back in 28th position, 2 laps down. Jeff Gordon, 5th place car, 18 seconds down the leader, Tony Stewart. Bobby Loomis, the crew chief there this morning, told me we need to have a good run today and finish this season up strong to be ready to race for the championship next year. Dave Burns, more on Jeff Gordon.
And they were much happier after that second round of pit stops than they were earlier. They were tight early on. They're really happy now. The only problem is they were one of those cars that on the right front tire, the cores were showing. So they may have some issues with that before the day's over.
So Gordon running in 5th position. And his interval up to leader Tony Stewart is 18.7 seconds. Next in line on the lead lap will be Mark Martin in 6th.
21 seconds behind the leader, Tony Stewart. See Mark following closely the 17 car, Matt Kenseth. The 17 car is the protege of Mark Martin.
Unfortunately, he's a lap down. Kenseth is in 17th. There's Bobby Labonte, 7th spot. Started the day in 3rd position. Ran in the top 5, led a lap before the set of green flag pit stops, then has fallen back to 7th, and he has been there for, what, probably the last 40 laps, 50 laps?
And you can see a 250-point lead on, I guess, Jeff Burton right now for the championship. If they could just end here, he would be the year 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup champion, and the party would begin.
Here's Rusty Wallace giving up 15th spot for a pit stop. Jerry Nadeau has also been in under the green for a stop. Johnny Benson pitted. Ken Schrader stopped. Terry Labonte also in for a green flag stop. And Sterling Marlin has come in under the green. So Bobby Snyder.
And Rusty Wallace radioed to Robin Pemberton 3 laps ago. He said, think about short pitting. So this is a strategy move on Robin Pemberton's part. They're coming in a little bit earlier. Most teams will not come in for about another 8 to 10 laps. Rusty is a little bit loose. They went down on the track bar. That is the adjustment. The car is actually fairly good, but a little bit looser than he would like. They dropped the jack. He heads back down pit road. 15.5 on this top.
Great pit stop. Then they went over in the front tire changer just a tick slow, about a half a second slow. It's amazing to do a 15 and a half, and I say the guy was half second slow.
What it's come down to anymore. Those pit stops just, what, 2 years ago, we used to think a 17-second stop was great. Now they're down in the 14s, and they've got to be there just to be good.
To be good, you have to be in the 14s. It's amazing how much work is being put into the pit crews. They all have trainers that come out and work with them to get flexibility, muscles.
Agility training also, footwork that goes into dancing around the car like that without falling with that jack or impact wrench in your hand. This is Kenseth in 22nd spot on pit road. And Jeff Burton has just come in, 14th place runner. Mike.
And Jeff Burton is fighting a very temperamental race car right now. He just radioed in, said the car is very tight in turns 1 and 2, but loose in turns 3 and 4. They're going to make a 4-tire change, also go down on the air pressure, and put in 2 rounds of wedge. They're now down on the jack and a wedge.
Joe Nemechek coming in, crossing over behind Burton. There's Kurt Busch in. Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s in.
Kurt Busch stops on. We see them all taking some windshield strips off for visibility to help the drivers see a little bit better. Jackman quickly around. You see the Jackman have to be big guys because it's very, very difficult to get that car up with just one pump. Front tire change is finished. Rear tire change having a little trouble back there.
It is much harder than it looks to hit those 5 lugs with that impact wrench. That thing is torqued up so high to be able to get the nuts as tight as they need to be, as fast as they need to be. Look at this, the leader having a little moment there as he tries to get around Michael Waltrip. But when you squeeze the trigger on that gun, it just waves all over the place on you. And it really takes a lot of practice to hit those 5 studs bang, bang, bang like you need to.
It sure does as Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes down pit road. And Rusty Wallace with those fresh tires has already passed the leader, Tony Stewart. So that's what he's talking about by short pitting, getting those fresh tires on there. As Dale Jr. stops early, gets some tires. We're going to make a chassis adjustment there. Let's go down to Marty Snyder.
And Brett Bodine is in, running in 12th. They're having a terrific run. They did make a chassis adjustment. Most of the leaders will come in about 10 laps, as we said. So some of these teams trying it a little bit earlier, and they worked for Rusty Wallace, who was the first car to pit. And he digs off pit road, does Brett Bodine.
Casey Atwood is in. There's Casey getting his service.
All right, let's watch him. Just slide that tire on, tighten the lug nuts, round to the left side. Already taking the strip off the windshield for visibility. 17.6. Evernham realizes, oh, we see the 28 car just drive on the inside of Tony Stewart and take the... What's up with Tony?
Tony Stewart off the pace just a little bit on that last lap. Mike Skinner is in. Let's go to Dave.
And Mike Skinner is in. Apparently he was speeding on pit road, coming in too fast, so the NASCAR official's now going to put up his hand, look at his watch, and Skinner, after making a chassis adjustment and putting 4 tires on the low Chevy, is going to have to wait eternity down here. It's only 15 seconds, but it seems like forever.
Dale Earnhardt is in.
As
all the way, yeah, the last stall up the end of pit road. And as Earnhardt leads, Dale Jarrett is on pit road, Dave Blaney is on pit road, and Tony Stewart, who just gave up the lead to Ricky Rudd, comes in for service as well. These stops at lap 150. Let's go to Dave.
Last year's champion, Dale Jarrett, now comes in. They've taken a tearaway off the windshield. Wedge adjustment into the left rear. They're already around to the right side. Smooth stop so far as Tony Stewart gets held up now by Rick Mast coming into the pit. Stewart, the leader, coming in. He is finally in his pit. Right side now going on for Stewart. I just talked to Greg Zippadelli. They said no changes. As now Jimmy Spencer will pull in right behind him. Spencer, they're going to go to the right side as well. And Jimmy, earlier they were saying that with cloud cover that the 26 was getting tight. 14.5 for Stewart as Jimmy Spencer now has a clear pit lane in front of him. Marty Snyder.
And Ricky Rudd comes very slowly down pit road. This is the same car they had last week at Phoenix. It took them 44 hours horse to get the body fixed, but it is still very good today. They think on the longer runs, they are better than Tony Stewart. They did just pass him for the lead. The car has a slight push. They will make no adjustments, however, and it will be a 4-tire stop for Ricky Rudd. Let's go to Mike Massaro.
And Jeremy Mayfield locks up the binders, comes to a complete stop in his pit box. Car's been a little bit tight. They'll make a wedge adjustment. Peter Suspenza, the crew chief, also calling for a 4-tire change. And Buell is up on the deck. Stands back to you guys in the booth.
We saw just a second ago when Tony Stewart left pit road, a little puff of smoke out of his car.
6-car Mark Martin on pit road. Here comes Bobby Labonte to make his pit stop. He has to slam on the brakes, slow down, because right there starts the timing zone for the speed on pit road, which is 45 miles per hour. They've been running around the racetrack, average speed 145. They got to slow down to 45. They do that by watching the tachometer, a certain RPM.
Steve Park following Bobby Labonte down the pit road for service. He stops at lap 152. Marty?
And Bobby Labonte is in. The car started tight on this run as well. It stayed tight, however. They went up on the track bar 2 rounds. It will be a 4-tire change for Bobby Labonte. He is happy with the car. They think it's about a 5th-place car right now. They're going to try and make it just a little bit better. Jeff Chandler puts on the left front. They drop the jack and down and away.
Those Joe Gibbs teams, once again, some great pit stops. A 14.9 for Labonte.
I believe the coach just had to write another check.
I think he did too.
Labonte on that access road inside of 1 and 2, now rejoining the racing surface on the backstretch. After the pit stops, Ricky Rudd has held the lead. Bobby Labonte did lead for a lap before coming into pit. Now Rudd goes back out in front, and he has opened up a 3.4-second lead on Tony Stewart through the pit stops. Now, when Stewart left pit road, just as he got to the end of pit road, I saw his car bogged down, and a big puff of smoke came out of it, and then he took off again.
The right front wheel, for some reason, stopped turning. Either he slammed on the brakes and slid the right front, or a lug nut jammed in the brake system somehow and stopped the right front. And then the car continued on. I saw the same thing, Alan, and I don't know exactly what might have happened.
Here's another look at what happened as Stewart tried to exit his pit, and also when he came in.
We was talking about the 14 car of Rick Mast is about to leave just as Tony Stewart is going in. Tony had to slow down, let Rick Mast get on the road. He goes into his pit stall.
Difference between Ricky Rudd coming away with the lead that he had and the closeness between the two when they went down the pit lane. But something still happened when Stewart left pit road that cost him a little more time. So after green flag pit stops, Ricky Rudd leads Stewart, Spencer, Mayfield, and Gordon. We are past halfway in the Pennzoil 400. Ricky Rudd leads the Pennzoil 400. The 250-mile mark coming up quickly here. 7 laps away from that now. Rudd's advantage over Tony Stewart is 2.72 seconds. While we were in the break, you saw Dave Blaney take the 9th spot away from Steve Park. And there's the interval from Rudd back to Stewart. Now, we've been talking about Tony Stewart's exit from the pit lane a minute ago, and Benny and I seeing some smoke out of his car. Let's go back and take another look at it. This is Stewart leaving.
As just when he gets to the end of pit road, right there, he slams on the brakes. I think that evidently he had forgotten about the speed limit on pit road and realized that he was accelerating too quickly. Let's go down to Dave Byrne.
That's true, Benny, and it's because he was very distracted on this pit stop. Coming in, not only did he have to avoid Rick Mast, he was unzipping his fire suit so that when he came in, they could pass some ice through to him. They passed it through in a Ziploc bag. Tony dumped it in, and he was zipping his suit back up on the way out. He was thinking about a lot of things.
And not the speed limit on pit road. And he realized all of a sudden he was speeding. The penalty, folks, if he had not slammed on the brakes, he would have been a black flag and had to come back down pit road for a stop-and-go penalty, which would have cost him almost 30 seconds.
It would have cost him a lap, probably, because of the access road on the inside of 3 and 4 to come into the pits, and then inside of 1 and 2 to leave the pits. It would have cost him a lap.
Now, my only concern is when he slid that right front tire, did he wear some rubber off? You know, we know these right front tires are very, very close. Now, did he wear some rubber off? He'll have to stop a little bit earlier than he would have otherwise.
So Stewart running in 2nd spot, 1.79 seconds behind Ricky Rudd. last lap, he was faster than Rudd by a full mile an hour. There's the interval between the two. Dale Earnhardt Jr. now the first car 1 lap down in 16th spot in between Rudd and Stewart. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Well, we're with Greg now, and we're going to ask him. Greg, he smoked the tires on the way out at the end of pit road like he was trying not to speed. Are you worried about the front tire now?
No, he didn't do it long enough there. I don't think to do any damage. We'll be all right. We got one more stop to make. Probably stop a little short, but we should be in good shape.
And did you make an air pressure adjustment that last stop?
No, we didn't make any changes. At Home Depot Pontiac's been running great all day. We made a change stop before, and we'll just wait till the end here and see what we need.
Boy, I'll say it's been running great.
So Zipadelli not concerned about Stewart sliding that front tire too much. And talking about stopping a little short, the amount of time left in the race from when they made the pit stops to the checkered flag, about, what, 110, 112 laps. So 55, 57 laps there in equal runs.
Now we see the 12 car, Jeremy Mayfield, trying to get work through some lap traffic. There's Michael Waltrip, who had to stop on the parade lap to replace an oil line. He's now 4 laps down. Joe Nemechek, the 33 car, he's back in 18th. He's a lap down. There comes Jimmy Spencer. Great run for Jimmy. He is still top 5, 4th position.
Spencer running in 4th. Mayfield running in 3rd. As Spencer tries to deal with the lap traffic and catch him. Here's a race for position as Dave Blaney, another great run to back up his Phoenix effort of a week ago, takes the 8th spot away from Jeff Burton.
We saw him pass the 1 car pole sitter Steve Park just a moment ago. Now he goes by Jeff Burton. Wow, Blaney here at the end of the season coming on strong.
Now Park to challenge Burton next for 9th spot. With the lap car of Kevin LePage in between them. LePage 2 laps down in 29th spot. Ricky Rudd is the leader of the Pennzoil 400. 250 of the 400 miles are complete. There are the top 6. Bobby Labonte, the championship leader. He's back in 7th spot. Richard Childress watching Dale Earnhardt try and keep from getting closed out, doing whatever he can to try and keep up. Ricky Rudd leads the Pennzoil 400 at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, but his lead over Tony Stewart is getting considerably smaller.
As he's passed these 2 cars, oh, watch Stewart just drive on the inside of Jerry Nadeau as Ricky Rudd has passed these couple of lap cars. It's allowed Tony Stewart somehow to close in. And that time Stewart passed Nadeau, he lost about a 1/4 of a second.
You see the distance that Stewart has been able to track in time off of Rudd's advantage over the last 4 laps. He's got him in the gun sights now.
Ricky Rudd really, though, has a very good race car here today. If it were not for Ricky Rudd, Tony Stewart would have a 16-point second lead on 2nd place, but he's got Rudd there almost as fast as he is.
Joe Gibbs watching as Tony Stewart tries to chase down Ricky Rudd, and Bobby Labonte tries to lock up a championship. Let's go to Marty.
Well, everybody's been talking about how great this title would be for Bobby Labonte, but how about Joe Gibbs? You know, it took him only 3 years to win his first Super Bowl. He has now been a car owner in the Winston Cup Series for 9 years, and Bobby will freely admit that Joe Gibbs is one of the main reasons that he was on the verge of winning this championship. Joe will turn 60 in 13 days. And you know what's funny about all this? Bobby grew up a Dallas Cowboy fan. He said, and I quote, "I hated the Redskins."
Maybe he doesn't anymore.
I would say that they found a way to work through that.
Yes. Very definitely.
Bobby Labonte running in 7th spot now, ahead of both Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt, in position to lock up the NASCAR Winston Cup title for Joe Gibbs. You know, Joe went to Super Bowls and won them with 3 different quarterbacks. He did it with Joe Theismann, he did it with Doug Williams, and Mark Rippon also won the Super Bowl as quarterback for Joe Gibbs. And Joe has spoken in as many football analogies as he does, that the drivers are the quarterbacks of his race team, and he's got a couple of good ones in Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart.
Yes, he does. He has 2 of the best on the speedway now. Rusty Wallace a lap down. Tony Stewart closes in on the back bumper. Ricky Rudd already by Oh, Tony just drives down to the apron. Says, okay, Rusty, if you want the groove, I'll take the bottom of the racetrack. He goes by it. Rusty and Mike Skinner in the same breath almost.
Skinner is 2 laps down in 23rd. Rusty is 1 lap down. The first car 1 lap down in 14th. So things not going either of those drivers' way here. Rusty run decently in the opening part of the race, but he's just not able to run that same kind of lap time that Stewart and Rudd are, and he's fallen behind fast, and short pitting a while ago didn't help him, I don't think.
But it did for the moment. He was able to stay out in front for a few laps, hoping for the caution flag that never came.
Ricky Rudd now working to the inside of Kenny Wallace, who is running well back in the field. Couple of laps down in 30th spot for Kenny Wallace. Closing in on 300 miles in the Pennzoil 400 on NBC.
NBC's presentation of NASCAR is brought to you by NBCI.com, one site with everything you need. By Pfizer Men's Health, tune-up for life. And by Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you.
Back at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, the Pennzoil 400. NASCAR on NBC. The lead is getting tight. Tony Stewart has caught Ricky Rudd trying to work him over in traffic.
Ricky Rudd caught the lap car, Brett Bodine. Brett Bodine running in 13th position. When Rudd caught him, he had some trouble, passed him off turn 2, and Tony Stewart just drove in there, closed up on the back bumper. But look, Ricky Rudd is able to pull away by about a car length.
Stewart led 90 laps of this race. Rudd so far 38. For Ricky Rudd, looking to see if he can secure what has been an elusive first win of this 2000 season. He thought he had it 1 week ago today. Out at Phoenix, Arizona, was leading heading into the final laps when Rick Mast in the 14 had a flat tire, got hit by Mike Bliss in the 27, and he spun right in front of what looked like sure winner Ricky Rudd. Rudd here at Homestead continuing to search for victory with Robert Yates Racing.
Certainly took all the easy options when Ricky Rudd had the decision of which way to go. Notice no options left when he got to where Mike Bliss's car was. A battle for the lead. Stewart is right there. He could stay a little bit lower that time, and by staying lower, he's able to get just a little bit of air on that left front fender, which will help that car turn.
Let's go to Marty Snyder.
And with Michael McSwain, when you saw that replay, you shook your head about last week at Phoenix, but right now, the car is good. When is the next stop, and are you worried about tires?
No, our tire's been real good all day. Goodyear brought a good tire here. It's kind of our favorite tire. It's going to be about 20 more laps. I hope you guys didn't just jinx me.
We didn't jinx you, I promise, but the car seems good on the long run, but it seems Stewart is just as good on the long run.
Yeah, I think 2 cars pretty much equal. I think my driver's a little bit tougher, and I think you can outdrive him here in the end.
Well, I'll guarantee you, if Will and Hart has anything to do with it, Ricky Rudd will find a way to win this race.
You know, Marty, if something does happen to Ricky Rudd here, you're going to have a hard time living with Michael McSwain down there.
Oh, man, oh, man. But, you know, Tony Stewart, once again, he's running lower than Ricky Rudd. He's using the apron of the racetrack because when you pull up behind another car, you get that arrow push, and here goes Stewart. He's on the inside. This is for the lead off turn 2. Now, is Ricky Rudd going to chop off like Dale Earnhardt did? No, he did not.
So Stewart back out in front. Rudd going to try and get back up underneath him, see if he can use the air to wiggle Stewart up out of the bottom lane.
Didn't work.
Not this time. So Tony Stewart assumes the lead. Take the lead, lap number 185. Stacy Compton is back on the track, 136 laps down to the race leader. He was one of the drivers involved in the big 5-car wreck at lap 33. Spent an enormous amount of time behind the wall getting repairs, but he has rejoined the event. Trying to look and see if he can pass the other 2 cars that are out of the race that are still ahead of him in the standings, Darrell Waltrip and John Andretti. Ken Schrader, green flag pit stop for him, while we watch Ricky Rudd try and stay with Tony Stewart, the race leader. Michael said that it would just be about 20 more laps for pit stops for the leaders, so that's going to set up a very long run to the finish of this race, barring a yellow flag. Matt Kenseth, hang on to it, Matt. Hang on.
Got pushed up out of the groove. There's a lot of debris, a lot of sand, rubber up there. Luckily, Kendrick able to save the car. The 19 car, Casey Atwood, still in the lead lap in 12th position. Last lap by, Tony Stewart just drove on the apron trying to get to lap the 19 car, could not quite make it.
Casey trying to hang in there on the tail end of the lead lap, 12th position for him. I would think that being in 12th position through almost 300 laps of this, or 300 miles of this event, would be considered a very successful day by Ray Evernham. Tony Stewart leads Ricky Rudd, Jeremy Mayfield, Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Spencer. Bobby Labonte is in 7th position with 81 laps to go at Homestead. Log on to NASCAR.com for your online source to America's hottest racing circuit. You'll get all the news, results, and a complete look at the point standings, plus audio wrap-ups, and check out a special cyber chat with some of NASCAR's biggest stars. NASCAR.com, the official site of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. Tony Stewart, the leader of the Pennzoil 400, coming up on the 300-mile mark in this event in just another 8 laps. Here's Rusty Wallace, short pitting, 76 to go.
That means he has to stop again. I don't think he can run to the end of the race. So that short stop did not work out well for Rusty.
Last pitted Rusty at lap 142, 50 laps ago. So if 50 laps is as far as he can run, he is going to have to stop at least once more in the event. Marty?
And again, them track position early on in that run, Alan, but again, it did not pay off late in the run. They're going to have to pit a little bit earlier, and this is where it costs you if you short pit, and it doesn't pay off. It was a 4-tire stop for Wallace. They made a chassis adjustment on the left and on the right, 15-6 on the stop.
Bobby Labonte chasing the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Runs in the 7th position. He ran in the top 5 for most of the early going, then fell back after the last pit stops at lap number 148 and 149 to 7th spot. He's run there ever since. Hasn't moved up, hasn't fallen back.
Going into the race, Dale Earnhardt was his closest pursuer, and just a few laps ago, he lapped Dale Earnhardt, talking about Bobby Labonte. So I think we can kind of eliminate Earnhardt winning the championship, and there is the next contender. Jeff Burton, the 99 car, about to go a lap down as Tony Stewart passes him down the back straightaway.
Jeff Burton, the 11th place car. Let's hear from Jeff Burton's team, Mike Massaro.
And Frank Stoddard, crew chief for Jeff Burton. Frank, it looks like the car's struggling a bit right now. What's wrong?
Yeah, we're trying to work on the car right now. We're getting ready to do a pit stop here. It's just been a little bit off all day, and with no cautions here, it's tough to do much.
Is there anything you can do to get the car back towards the front?
Yeah, we could get a caution, we'd be happy.
There's what they need, guys. Back to you.
Beginning to see some green flag pit stops as Wally Dallenbach is in. We saw Rusty Wallace a minute ago. Johnny Benson has come back down pit road. He was in under the green a minute ago and left one of the lug nuts off. The team did, so he had to come back in and put it on.
Frankie Stoddard talked about needing a caution flag. That's the last thing in the world he needs right now is a caution flag, because he was just lapped by the leader, Tony Stewart. And there's Dale Jarrett, last year's champion, about to go a lap down, the 88 car.
Last caution flag we had was back at lap number 33. We're at 195 now, so it has been a long time since the yellow was waved. This is for 8th position. As Steve Park tries to claim a spot away from Dave Blaney. Park in the yellow car, Blaney in the 93. Walking to the inside of Joe Nemechek. Nemechek a lap down in 20th spot. Let's go back to Bobby Labonte just for a second and mention that all he needs to do today is finish in front of Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt to win the Winston Cup title without even having to go to next Sunday's race in Atlanta. Labonte is 7th, Burton now a lap down in 11th, Earnhardt a lap down in 17th. Things are looking good for Bobby and Joe Gibbs.
Right now things are really looking good for Joe Gibbs, because one of his cars is leading the race, and the other car, if he can just stay where he is for the next, I don't know, 70 laps or so, will be the 2000 champion.
Tony Stewart has led 103 of the 197 laps now. Ricky Rudd has led 41, Mayfield 25, Spencer 15, Park, Bobby Labonte, and Elliott Sadler have each led laps also in today's race. Tony Stewart leading, getting down to the final 100 miles of the Pennzoil 400. Back for the green flag pit stops for the leaders after this. Back in Homestead, Tony Stewart getting a little sideways, trying to put another lap on Dale Earnhardt. And Dave Blaney trying to get back on the lead lap if he can.
That's right. Dave Blaney, the 93 car on the bottom. Let's go down to Mike Massaro.
And Jeff Burton has been complaining that the car has been tight in the center of the corners. They've been having some difficulty getting the car to turn. They'll make an air pressure adjustment. Frank Stoddard also calling for a 4-tire change in fuel. You heard him say he needed a caution to help this team out. They didn't get it. We'll have to try to do it here on pit road.
And you saw the crew a little bit frustrated there. Kind of a slow stop for Jeff Burton.
Well, that's why they have to short pit right now, to try to get out 2 or 3 laps, run faster than Tony Stewart, faster than the leader, make up 2 or 3 seconds on the leader when he makes his pit stop. Maybe you'll be in front of him for a few laps, and hopefully then you can get that caution flag you need so desperately.
Burton right now ahead of Dale Earnhardt for the 2nd spot in the championship, but not by much. Of course, Earnhardt still has to pit yet, so that'll shuffle that back around. Race summary. Just past 300 miles of the 400 in today's race. 13 lead changes, only 2 cautions. And they came about 26 and 33. It's been a long time under the green flag. Record average speed for this event is 140 miles an hour, so we're not quite there yet. Cars out of the race include Darrell Waltrip, John Andretti, Ward Burton, Mike Bliss, Jeffrey Bodine, Andy Houston, and also Scott Pruitt. And I believe Stacy Thompson just went back into the garage.
And the 24 car of Jeff Gordon just took over the 3rd spot from Jeremy Mayfield, although he is 21 seconds behind Tony Stewart, the leader.
Gordon started in 28. Pretty fair to call this a quiet race for him. Even though he's run all the way up to the number 3 spot, he's just not been any kind of a factor to lead this thing.
Because Jeremy Mayfield, after he got past, decided he would make a pit stop.
Dave Blaney is on pit road. Dale Earnhardt has just been on pit road. There's Mayfield on that access road inside of turns 3 and 4. Now the line for the pit road speed limit. Mayfield stopping with 63 laps to go. Mike Massaro is there.
Last time Jeremy Mayfield was in, he was complaining the car was tight. They made a track bar adjustment. He was very pleased with it. This time, though, they're going to pull a rubber out of the left rear, still trying to free the car up just a little bit. Around the right side now, back to the left side, a 4-tire change on the Jeremy Mayfield machine.
Speeding penalty for Jeremy. Too fast coming in. It'll cost him 15 seconds.
See the NASCAR official standing there, looking at his watch. As the crew were to go back to work at the car, he would start over again. If the 15 seconds is after the work is completed on the car.
On pit road also, Joe Nemechek, Jeff Gordon, Mike Skinner, Rick Mast, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Brett Bodine also in, and he's going to get a penalty for speeding coming into pit road also. Dave?
And Jeff Gordon was saying he was loose. They were going to make a wedge adjustment. There goes the adjustment to the right side. They're going to go to the left side now for Gordon. That's the only thing wrong. Other than that, Robbie Lewis said they're pretty happy right now with the 24.
Good stop for Jeff Gordon. 15 seconds as we see the NASCAR Winston Cup official penalizing Brett Bodine for his speeding on pit road.
And he'll step in front of Kurt Busch's car here, too, and tag him for speeding entering pit road. I guess this is the time of day to enforce the speeding coming in.
Yes, there we see the official standing there. Say, okay, stop.
Everybody getting a little careless in the late going here with it, probably, is what's going on. Dale Jarrett coming in, giving up 8th spot. Dale has not yet led this race today. Thank you. Let's go to Dave Burns.
And that might explain why when I talked to Todd Terry, his crew chief, he said, we're terrible. They did get lapped by the leader, even though they were running in 8th place when they gave up this spot. They're going to make all kinds of adjustments. You see a wedge adjustment going in. They're making air pressure adjustments as well. Todd couldn't even tell me what the car was doing. It was loose and tight. They're very frustrated today.
Caution is out. Caution on the speedway in the middle of this series of green flag pit stops. And I don't know why.
Wow, what a huge, huge disadvantage to all these cars that just made pit stops, because Tony Stewart, the leader, has not made a pit stop yet.
Nor has Bobby Labonte made a pit stop. I'm assuming there's some debris out there somewhere that I can't pick out looking down here from the booth, BP, because nobody has crashed or spun, and I don't see any blown engines.
It looks like when this thing restarts, only 5 cars will be on the lead lap.
Apparently there's something down inside turn 1 is the report we're getting from NASCAR now, so that is the caution. It will come out with 58 laps to go. Somebody or something was smoking down in turn 1, and that is the reason for caution number 3 in this Pennzoil 400. Huge, huge turnaround, good and bad for different drivers.
Yes.
Wow.
We'll see Tony Stewart, Ricky Rudd, Jimmy Spencer, Mark Martin, Bobby Labonte all make a pit stop.
Going to leave us with just 6 cars on the lead lap. Stewart, Rudd, Spencer, Martin, Bobby Labonte, and Steve Park. Steve raced Tony back around to the caution flag to get back onto the lead lap, so good heads-up driving by Steve there. And now we're hearing that Steve Park did not beat Tony Stewart back to the line, so he's going to have to stop and go back behind the pace car and go back a lap down. So really this is going to be head-to-head between the Stewart and Rudd pit crews to see who gets out first. Last couple of times it was Rudd's crew getting the jump on Stewart's. Stewart getting held up both coming in and leaving his pit stop last time, but it was under the green flag. These under the caution with 57 laps to go when they cross the start-finish line. Let's go to the leader's pit. Dave Burns will cover Tony Stewart's stop for us.
And Tony told them, I like the forward bite better. I'm a little tight in the center. Take a half pound out of the right rear. Don't change me much. Also, they're going to slip more ice into Tony. He's going to put it under his left belt. Marty Snyder.
Ricky Rudd's car is very good. He has a little bit of a push, but they're going to leave it alone. They think they're going to be better on the longer run. There's going to be about 58 laps to go by the time the green flag goes. Let's go back to Dave Burns.
Slow stop for Tony Stewart. He did have to put that pack of ice underneath the left belt, but other than that, they were just working on the left rear apparently, and that was what slowed him down.
Bobby Labonte coming off pit road in 5th position. Last car on the lead lap. There are just 5 remaining when that caution came out in the middle of the green flag pit stops. So we'll take a break here. 57 laps to go. Bobby Labonte is in position to claim the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship trophy in just a little while.
NBC's presentation of NASCAR is brought to you by Nextel, how business gets done. Call 1-800-NEXTEL-9. By Cooper Tires, a lot of mileage for the money. Cooper Tires, drive on. By Coca-Cola, enjoy. And by new Pennzoil Synthetic with Pennzane. It's rocket science for your car.
Log on to MSNBCSports.com and check out analysis by Benny Parsons on the rising stars of the Winston Cup circuit. Who'll emerge as the next superstar? Plus, who'll claim the 2000 Winston Cup title? Cast your vote. MSNBCSports.com, the official website of NBC Sports. Steve Park did not beat the leader, Tony Stewart, back to the caution flag a minute ago. Stayed on the racetrack like he had. Finally was forced to stop. Let the pace car catch up to him, put him the lap down, then decided to give it up and come onto pit road. It's going to drop him a number of positions. He will go back to the last car 1 lap down, probably be in 12th position before we restart.
See, the jet drivers are on the racetrack just trying to clean this racetrack for this last sprint to the finish.
Here is the leaderboard off the pit stops. Ricky Rudd getting out ahead of Tony Stewart. Terrific day for Jimmy Spencer. We really haven't talked about Spencer enough for the kind of run that he's had, but he has been very solid all day. And Bobby Labonte, if he finishes there in 5th, will lock up the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship today on NBC. Under caution for the 3rd time in the Pennzoil 400 with 53 laps to go in the race. And Ricky Rudd taking the lead away from Tony Stewart on the pit stop. Caution coming out in the middle of green flag stops has trapped a lot of cars behind and left just 5 on the lead lap. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Jeff Gordon was on and off pit road 2 times, Alan. They broke a throttle return spring. That makes the pedal come back. Now, it does have a secondary one. They did replace the one that broke, so Jeff's throttle pedal now comes back, but he slid the tires and flat spotted him, thinking that he might have a stuck throttle going into the turn a few laps ago. As for Tony Stewart, a lug nut popped off when they put the left rear on. They had to find the lug nut, put it back on, and then get him out of there. Mike Massaro.
Ironman Triathlon is coming on NBC right after this broadcast, but the Ironman award for this race may go to Wally Dallenbach. The reason why, he's got a hole in the exhaust pipe which is directly beneath the driver's seat. You take a look right now at the insulation. This is the piece that goes between the exhaust pipe and the floorboards. Fumes are coming up through the hole into the cockpit, as well as heat. It gets as high as 1,200 degrees, and right now Wally Dallenbach is enduring that, hopes to extend through the end of the race. Right now we go to Marty Snyder.
Well, in that last run, Bobby Labonte's car was a little bit looser than he would like it to be, but he was made aware by Jimmy Makar of the fact that he is in position to win the championship. The smiles were growing bigger down here in the Interstate Batteries pits. They are getting excited. They know the championship is now within reach.
There's not going to be any recount on this one. He's going to win it in a landslide.
Yes, he is. Right now, his closest pursuer is Jeff Burton, who's back in 13th position. Dale Earnhardt, who started the race, his closest pursuer is in the 18th position.
See Earnhardt running right behind the pace car. He will be at the, well, basically be 2 laps down to the leader. He's just in front of the leader, so he's 1 and almost a full second lap down to Ricky Rudd when we go back under the green flag. Jet blowers out there continuing to clean off the racing surface. Leaderboard 5, the top 5 on the lead lap, as we get set to go back at it for the final 52 laps of the Pennzoil 400. Steve Park led early, has slipped back to the 7th spot. It has been all about Ricky Rudd, Tony Stewart, and Bobby Labonte today in the Pennzoil 400. NASCAR on NBC at the Homestead-Miami Speedway for the Pennzoil 400. Second to last race of the 2000 Winston Cup campaign. Bobby Labonte in position to try and clinch the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship today. Jeff Gordon with a little turn signal, trying to get out of the lane with the lead lap cars. There's Bobby running in 5th spot. His brother Terry, a 2-time Winston Cup champion, running back in 25th today. We talked with Terry earlier this weekend about what it would mean for him to see little brother win a Winston Cup ring.
It would be very special if Bobby won the championship. It would be. It would be a great feeling, I know, for my parents. It would be for me. So it'd be fun sitting around the house Christmas and it's all sitting around there, you know, and hopefully we'll have a championship somewhere.
Trophy's a little too big for the centerpiece of Thanksgiving dinner.
Look at Earnhardt taking the leader, Ricky Rudd, out as he tries to stay in the lead lap. Tony Stewart dove on the inside, retakes the lead.
Dale Earnhardt has had his moments today here at Homestead. Earlier involved in an accident when he got into the back of Ward Burton. 5-car crash resulted on the backstretch. This time he's messing around with the front couple as Earnhardt tries to get one of his 3 laps. He's down back.
I'm sure he is, because Earnhardt trying his best. He got in the corner, his car wouldn't stick, and he just kind of carried Ricky Rudd up with him.
So Stewart in front, Rudd back to 2nd. That is Spencer in the 26, who is 3rd. And to keep up with the front 2.
The 12 car you saw just a moment ago, Jeremy Mayfield, he is in 6th place. He's on the tail end of the lead lap. If the twin car were to pass him now, Mayfield would be a lap down.
Go to Marty.
And you're right, Ricky Rudd very upset with Dale Earnhardt. He said it was uncalled for. He thinks he did it on purpose. Now, of course, Ricky is going to be a little bit angry right now, and he may be talking with emotion more than sense right now. But Michael McSwain calmed him down so we can still get to Stewart. Don't worry about it. We'll get to the front.
Road rage in a race car will not help you on when you're at a place where you've got to save tires, and Ricky needs to worry about that right front. He's still got 47 laps to go.
Yeah, and Ricky Rudd will. He'll understand. He'll calm down in a lap or two and continue with the job in hand, trying to figure out how to catch Tony Stewart and win the race.
Dave Blaney working on Steve Park, 8th spot. Both are 1 lap down, unfortunately, because of that caution that came out in the middle of things.
No, Blaney is 2 down. The 1 car is 1 lap down. See that little thing on the right side says 2?
Yes, it's different than the one I'm used to looking at, BT. Adjustments being made in the broadcast booth here.
Right now, only 2 cars are 1 lap down. Jeff Gordon and the 1 car of Steve Park.
Rookie standings, Matt Kenseth leading Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming into today's race. Junior's running in 15th. Kenseth is running in 22nd. Blaney right now, the top running rookie. Caution is out again. Debris on the front straightaway. Caution number 4 is out.
Huge break for Jeremy Mayfield. He will be able to stay in the lead lap, come in, get 4 fresh tires, and will be in 6th spot. And as a matter of fact, his crew might even beat some of these guys off pit road, because I believe that Stewart, Rudd, these other cars will stop and change 4 fresh tires.
Caution at lap 224, setting up a 45-lap sprint to the finish of the Pennzoil 400 on NBC. 42 laps to go in the Pennzoil 400. Strategy under the caution flag.
Top 3 cars did not pit. Stewart, Rudd, Mark Martin, all the rest of the cars on the lead lap, although there is only 3 of them, decided to pit.
That would be Jimmy Spencer, Bobby Labonte, Jeremy Mayfield, all choosing to pit here. Let's go to Marty.
If you wonder about Bobby Labonte being conservative, they are not being conservative. They made a move to try and win this race. They were the last car on the lead lap. They came down. The car was a little bit tight. They made an air pressure adjustment, took on 4 tires. That should help them, especially early in this run. Now for Ricky Rudd, he thinks he may have a little bit of left side fender damage from where Dale Earnhardt hit him. They had Mark Martin pull up, check it out. Mark Martin said it's fine. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Marty, Jimmy Spencer knew that he could not win this race either. The car was very, very tight. And even though they caught a break on the last yellow, where one of the cars that had stayed out, they needed to come in this time. They pulled out the front valence just a bit, threw a hammer out there. The guys yanked it out. They also raised the track bar 2 rounds to try to help Jimmy turn the car. He said air pressure isn't going to do it. So they went ahead and made the track bar adjustment.
Then they went back and worked around the nose of Spencer's car for a minute, too.
That's what Dave was talking about.
Yeah.
Took a hammer and they beat the front fender, front bumper out, trying to get some more downforce on the nose of that car.
Only certain amounts are allowed to do that, so.
Well, that's right. It can only protrude so much.
Far.
Yeah, like a ½ inch or something.
So hope it fits the template when they get back into inspection after the race. Gonna go green with 41 laps to go. Rudd was leading Stewart last restart. The lap car of Dale Earnhardt ran him up the racetrack. Stewart got the lead. Let's see what happens with Jeff Gordon. To the leaders inside this time.
Stewart got that great jump on Jeff Gordon. Ricky Rudd now is closed in between, has Gordon between himself and Tony Stewart.
Bobby Labonte, first off of pit road of those who stopped in 4th, trying to clear the lap car there. We talked about Terry and Bobby Labonte earlier. Bob Labonte, their father, the man who got them both started in racing, is here anxiously looking on. Mike Massaro.
And he's a very nervous spectator right now, Alan. Bob, what are your thoughts right now as Bobby is poised to clinch his first Winston Cup championship?
Well, you're a little bit more comfortable than I am, I'm sure. I never count it till it's over. You know, though something could happen here. He could have a flat tire, wound up 25th or whatever. But if he keeps his nose clean, he'll probably be all right.
If he keeps his nose clean, in Bob Labonte's words, he will be the 2000 Winston Cup champion. Back to you guys.
Bob's a great guy. He's been in the background in both Bobby and Terry's careers for so long and just done so much to get them where they are today in terms of support. He ran Bobby's Busch Series team when they won the Busch Series championship back in '91. Still runs Terry's Busch Series team for Terry's son Justin now. And I can tell you there is probably nobody more nervous on it. Well, maybe Joe Gibbs, but then second Bob Labonte as far as the nerve cases are concerned here at Homestead today.
And Mark Martin, the 6th car, has quietly moved his way to the front, is in 3rd position now, and looks like he's giving Ricky Rudd about all he wants.
Mark started 11th. Has not led a lap today. Remember, Mark stayed on the racetrack last Sunday in Phoenix under a late caution to try and steal a win there. Everybody else changed tires. Didn't work out. He got shuffled back to 6th at the checkered flag.
He took a look on the inside. He's still on the inside trying to take that position away. It looks like this set of tires that Ricky Rudd's car has on it right now is just not matched exactly like the others. And Martin goes into 2nd spot.
That's Joe Nemechek in the 33. He's 3 laps down.
That. Rudd gets in the back of Martin, knocks him up out of the groove, and Martin does a great job to save it. Did you see that car going about 30 degrees sideways, and y'all?
Look at Bobby Labonte closing in on the both of them. How did he save that?
I don't know how he did that.
Jeremy Mayfield working on Labonte for 4th. Labonte's going to wave him by. So Mayfield to 4th. Bobby back to 5th. Only other car on the lead lap is Jimmy Spencer. Look out, park into Atwood. Nice job, Casey.
Casey did a nice job. We're seeing a lot of bumper tag going on here in the waning laps of the Pennzoil 400.
Let's go back and have another look at Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin racing for 2nd a lap ago.
Martin takes a spot. He goes in the corner, slides up. Here comes Rudd, goes up, touches that back bumper, and here goes Martin for the slide. The slide for life. He saves it, but Rudd goes by.
Mark ran it in there deep, had to step on the brakes to keep from running up the racetrack, and Ricky was still in the gas. Mark tried to close back in on Ricky, see if he can fight him once again for 2nd spot. While this is going on, Tony Stewart is getting away.
And Ricky Rudd says, oh, no, why can't I get away? Right, if I ever need to get away from a car right now, I need to get away from Mark Martin, because you know Mark is not too happy about that little move.
Okay. I made a mistake. Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Ricky's had enough bad luck at Phoenix last week. 35 to go. Last lap speeds. Martin faster.
And Tony Stewart faster than both of them.
Tony's gone. He's 3.5 seconds ahead. Look at Tony. Dave Burns.
And Alan, more words from Tony Stewart on how good the car is. Guys, I'm not even pushing this thing yet.
Bad news for Rudd and Martin.
Bad news for every one of them, because he, as you said, he is gone.
Tony's led 132 laps of this event. Has been, I don't think any question, the dominant car today. Trying to win this race for a 2nd year in a row. Let's go to Marty.
Well, you guys said Bob Labonte and Joe Gibbs were the most 2 nervous people. I'd like to show you Mark Cronquist. He is a head engine builder for Bobby Labonte. And when it comes down to the end of races, when they're about to do something big, he paces. And he's got about 1,500 miles on those shoes this year. He paced for 2 hours in Indianapolis. He's been pacing for about the last 45 minutes, and he hasn't stopped yet.
Race for 2nd. Martin back up on Rudd's back bumper. Mark hanging the left side, wheels below the line. Here's the run off of turn 4.
I would warn Ricky Rudd not to run in the back of the 6th car this time. That would be my best advice to Ricky Rudd, is don't hit that 6th car again.
It's close. Did he just move him?
I don't think so. I think Mark just got a little bit loose as he got on the throttle. But here's Jeremy Mayfield right behind both these cars.
Martin to 2nd. Mayfield closing quick. Remember, Jeremy was a lap down just before the caution flag. Let's go to Mike Massaro.
Well, Alan, you mentioned that Jeremy Mayfield was a lap down, but they have come out after the last pit stop swinging for the fences. They have opened up their offense, so to speak, by making major adjustments on pit road. Get this, they went up 4 rounds on the track bar. They made a wedge adjustment and also pulled out a spring rubber. The comment from Peter Suspenso was, let's go for it, guys.
Mayfield, a 2-time winner this season in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, offset by the fact that he has failed to finish 6 of the last 9 races and has tumbled from being a contender earlier in the year all the way down to 24th in points. Mayfield the 3rd.
And it looks like with 30 laps to go that the Pennzoil 400 is going to be another bitter disappointment for Ricky Rudd. The car that ran up front all day long. He and Tony Stewart were last in the field. Evidently, the handling is off a little bit right now. He's moved back to the 4th position, 5.5 seconds behind the leader, Tony Stewart.
6 cars on the lead lap. Stewart, Martin, Mayfield, Rudd, Bobby Labonte, and Jimmy Spencer are the 6 that are on the lead lap. Tony's getting away. that tells you. Bobby Labonte came down pit road. We heard the report from Marty a minute ago, trying to do what they could to win the race. Got a feel for it on this set of tires in the first couple of laps that it wasn't any better. So he's just settled in line by himself in traffic.
And Bobby Labonte is a perfect spot right now. On the racetrack, all by himself. There's not anyone challenging for position behind, and he has a lot of distance between himself and the car in front in case that car has some kind of problem. So he's just going to ride right here and take home the 2000 Winston Cup trophy.
It's worth some $3 million to win the championship. As Mayfield is around Martin for second. Martin just kind of pulled over, said, go on.
Well, he looked up and he saw that the 12 car was faster, much faster than he was, so he said, go ahead. I don't think Jeremy can run down Tony Stewart, but Mark says he can. Go ahead. He's hoping, I guess, that the 12 car will use up his car trying to do that, and he'll be able to pass him back with a few laps to go.
Mayfield's got 5 seconds to make up. As position shuffling back a lap down, that is Dale Earnhardt Jr. taking 12th from Rusty Wallace. Jerry Nadeau shuffles Rusty back to 13th. Dale Earnhardt coming up next, though he's not in the same lap with these drivers. He's 3 laps down.
All these cars victims of making a pit stop and just a few laps later the caution flag coming out.
Earnhardt's going to try and go underneath Rusty. Dale back in 20th position. Next car he's racing is Kurt Busch in 19th. Tony Stewart leads. Bobby Labonte runs 5th, in position to clinch the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Nerves beginning to build for Joe Gibbs Racing. "22 laps to go for Tony Stewart to try and be the only winner, remain the only winner of the Pennzoil 400. He won the inaugural Winston Cup race here last year. He is out in front by 6 seconds over Jeremy Mayfield now. Bobby Labonte running in 5th, 8 seconds behind Stewart. Will clinch the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship if he can finish there. Jeff Burton is 11th. Dale Earnhardt is 20th. They're getting nervous in the Bobby Labonte pit as these laps wind down. That's Peter Jellin, the gas man. He can't take it anymore. Joe Gibbs has been in this situation before, but it must be more difficult on Joe. When he was involved in the Super Bowls, he was so involved in the game, in the act of coaching his team to try and win. Here, Jimmy Makar's the coach.
All he does is just stand there and watch these guys do their job. Let's go down to Marty Snyder and see what they're saying down there.
Oh, they're very anxious. And Norm Miller, you're looking at Norm, is the president of Interstate Batteries. And about a month ago, he made up this button. And he makes all 800 employees wear it at Interstate Batteries in Dallas. And every day, if you don't have on this button, you'll see in the hall, he say, go put on your button, because he thinks it brings good luck to Bobby Labonte. And he made up one for all 800 employees at Interstate Batteries and made them wear it every day until he wins the championship. Maybe they'll take them off on Monday now.
Bobby Labonte with 4 wins this season: Rockingham, Indianapolis, the Southern 500 in Darlington, and the Charlotte race. In October, he's led 21 of 32 races. He's led the points all but 1 week from the 3rd race of the season on. 29 weeks at number 1.
Wow. But the worst part about today, the only dark spot for Bobby Labonte today, if Tony Stewart wins the race, then that means that Tony will have won 6 times this year. And he will have bragging rights at Joe Gibbs Racing for the most victories.
I think that the championship trophy will weigh heavily on one side of the scale where those bragging rights are concerned.
Yeah, that's probably worth more than all 6 of those combined.
But you know, the way that Joe treats this operation, the guys that work on Tony Stewart's cars here at the racetrack and work on Bobby Labonte's cars here at the racetrack work on both cars back at the shop. There are people who have jobs that are assigned, and they're assigned for both machines, not just one or the other. So this will be, when both take the checkered flag today, if things end as they are now, a big victory celebration with a lot of orange shirts to go along with a lot of green shirts.
Yes, I'm sure that when Bobby Labonte is crowned champion, they'll all come down and shake hands with Bobby and the rest of that number 18 crew.
Now, here's what I'm wondering right now, Benny. Back in '96, when Terry Labonte won the Winston Cup title, Bobby won the race, and they had what was such a memorable moment when the two made the side-by-side victory lap around the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Bobby's been so reluctant to talk about, even think about, winning this championship. Is there a secret plan hatched? Will Terry and he do something? What will the celebration be?
I don't know. That's a good thought. I haven't thought about that, but that was one of my most fondest memories in all of stock car racing when Bobby and Terry Labonte rode side by side around the Atlanta Motor Speedway. One is the winner of the race, one is the champion.
It's been a Grinchy kind of day for Terry Labonte. 3 laps down, back in 26th position after starting 39th.
I think the Grinch stole the handle on the 5 car.
He sure has. Racing there with Wally Dallenbach, though Wally is 7 laps down in 35th position. Wally in the 75 car. Steve Park still racing with Dave Blaney. These two have been together on the racetrack for about the last hour, it seems like.
And they're running 8th and 9th, although it's really not a battle, because if Blaney were to pass the 1 car, he'd still be in 9th position because he's a lap down to Steve Park.
Blaney's the first car 2 laps down. Park the last car 1 lap down in 8th spot. Park and Jeff Gordon, the only drivers 1 lap down. Got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drivers 2 laps down. As we watch Bobby Labonte about to come down to 14 to go. Haven't heard from Jimmy Makar yet today. Marty?
Well, the car's been pretty good, and they did make the effort to win the race. Jimmy, you tried to win the race. The car just not handling as good right now.
No, you know, we ain't been able to really be where we wanted to be all weekend. We've been trying a lot of different setups. Got Tony's setup. We tried 2 or 3 other setups. We just never could hit something that was really fast. The car's not driving all that bad. We just don't have the speed. So, you know, unfortunately, we just missed it this weekend. But, I mean, the car's not terrible. It's just not competitive enough to win the race.
Are you getting excited?
Probably so.
I would say he is. Bobby Labonte needed to finish 5th today. He runs 5th right now.
See, and that's the whole thing about Jimmy and Bobby, this whole stretch drive to the championship. They have worked so hard around the shop and in public to not talk about the championship, to not get focused about it, not get thinking it's theirs. It's creeping in.
It is creeping in. Well, it's creeping in because they've only got about 10 or 15 minutes to go. And they will be the champions if they can just stay where they are.
We saw Bobby Labonte down in the garage area this morning. Benny and I did together, and Bobby said Benny asked him, how'd you sleep last night?
Best night of sleep I've had the whole time down here. I said, what was your first thought when you woke up this morning? He said, got to go to the bathroom.
Honest answer.
Honest answer.
Bobby Labonte is 36 years old. 16 Winston Cup wins to his credit. First season on the circuit was in '93 when he raced Jeff Gordon for the Rookie of the Year title that year.
Now, that was a class act by Jeff Gordon. He realized that Bobby Labonte was a little bit faster, but he was not going to take any chances to pass him, so he decided to move over and let him go because Jeff Gordon is not racing anyone for position. He is Steve Park, but Steve Park is a half lap behind, or there he is about a straightaway behind Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon knows what it's like to come out of those final races, trying to win a Winston Cup championship. A 3-time title holder is Gordon. And Tony Stewart now to come up on the back end of the field, start to catch some lap traffic over these final miles. He's got room to give.
And these cars in front of him are racing for position. Michael Waltrip in the 7th and Bobby Hamilton Jr. are back racing for 33rd position. See Michael waving out the window, telling Tony Stewart, yes, I know you're there. Go ahead, you have the inside.
Tony from Rushville, Indiana, 8 Winston Cup wins, 3 last season in a record-setting rookie campaign, 5 this season. He is the winningest driver in Winston Cup racing this year. Tony's victories coming at Dover, Michigan, New Hampshire, the 2nd Dover race, and the 2nd Martinsville race.
And that was Tony Stewart, had his hand out the window, telling Michael Waltrip, I sure appreciate you moving over, letting me have the inside of the inside groove. One of these days, I'll return that favor.
Up next, the Ironman Triathlon. The ultimate test of endurance. Stay with us here on NBC as some of the best athletes in the world take the ultimate challenge of swimming, biking, and running a marathon in the Hawaiian heat. It's the Ironman Triathlon. Next on NBC. 10 laps to go. In the Pennzoil 400, Tony Stewart looking good. What? They pitted with what? 50... Let's look it up here. 55 or so laps to go. Right front tires have been an issue from time to time through the weekend. I expect by this point in the race, the word has gone out to Stewart. Take it easy.
Well, as a matter of fact, I think Tony has backed off a little bit from how fast his car will run. And all you got to do is back up a mile an hour per lap, and it will really save that right front tire. Just ease in the corner, ease off the corner. Don't turn that wheel so violently in the middle of the corner, and that right front tire will last a lot longer.
Tony Stewart half a straightaway ahead of Jeremy Mayfield. Another remarkable run for Mayfield a week ago at Phoenix. He came back from a lap down to finish second. Now he's come back from a lap down to run second to Stewart here in Homestead. 8 to go. Stories of this one, a couple of wrecks in the early going. Back in lap number 26, Andy Houston and Scott Pruitt, teammates, crashed in turn 3. Second yellow was at lap 33. Dale Earnhardt ran into the back of Ward Burton off of turn 2. 5-car wreck ensued involving Burton, Mike Bliss, Stacy Compton, and Jeffrey Bodine. And we had a long green flag run from lap 39 to lap 210 before we got another couple of quick cautions for debris at lap 210 and lap 224. We've got 15 lead changes so far today among 7 different drivers. Tony Stewart by far has led the most laps, 158 of the 260 that have been run to this point have been led by Tony Stewart.
There's Bobby Labonte, the 2000. No, I won't say that.
Don't put the jinx on me yet.
It isn't over. It isn't over, so I will not say another word.
7 laps from being.
Yes, okay, that's better.
The 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup champion. Bobby trying to become the 24th driver in 52 years of NASCAR racing to win the Winston Cup title. He would be, and I found this interesting, I never realized this till doing the research last night, he would be the first former NASCAR Busch Series champion to win the Winston Cup title.
And I think that he would be the first brother to win a Winston Cup title.
Terry Labonte, the 2-time champ, 1984 and 1996 for Terry. Bobby going to catch Ricky Rudd for 4th spot here, the way things look.
Rudd is slowing. Ricky Rudd is slowing. Something has gone wrong with the 28 car, and it just continues.
Maybe you thought Bobby was going to catch him a little quicker, and he was just going to let him by. Marty, what's up with Ricky Rudd?
And Ricky Rudd thinks it might be an engine going south on the Texaco Haviland 40. Radioed to Mike McSwain. Said, I think the motor just broke, and as it goes by us, it does indeed sound sour like it's down on 7 cylinders.
That crash leading in the final laps at Phoenix last Sunday has been a very strong contender for the win today. The engine's going south in the final laps at Homestead.
With just 5 laps to go. Can you imagine that?
Ricky has led 49 laps over 6 different occasions today. Has been Tony Stewart's strongest competitor for the victory. 4 to go. Tony Stewart.
Ricky Rudd told me this morning they stopped in Las Vegas. He and his wife Linda stopped in Las Vegas on the way out last weekend to Phoenix, and his wife ran $25 into about $500, and he ran $25 into 0. And I can understand that.
Can understand it from the fact that you do the same with that dwindling return, or the fact that his luck's been so bad.
That his luck's been so bad.
Going to lose 5th spot here to Jimmy Spencer. As Spencer goes by on the outside, so Rudd back to 6th. Last car on the lead lap. He'll well, maybe not yet.
He's really getting through the corner. He loses that power. He's not able to go in the corner that much faster. Not as fast as he had been. He handles so well, but you can see down the straightaway he's losing a lot of time to these other cars.
Back to Bobby Labonte. Running 7.7 seconds behind Tony Stewart. 3 laps to go. Now it's a game of concentration for Bobby. Not letting his thoughts drift, making sure he's hitting his marks, as the drivers call it. The places on the racetrack where you have to lift off the gas and touch the brakes, and where you want to put the car on the speedway. Just get it done for the final couple laps. Look at Mark Cronquist. It has eaten him up. Still pacing. He's probably wearing a hole in the concrete back there.
And right now, I will tell you that Bobby Labonte is the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup champion, because the 99 car is 2 laps down. Earnhardt is 3 laps down. If he stops now, he will not catch him.
Benny Parsons projecting Florida to Bobby Labonte.
Yes.
Safely this time. White flag is out. Final lap for Tony Stewart. One more lap around the mile-and-a-half Homestead-Miami Speedway for Bobby Labonte to get a Winston Cup championship ring. Fans are all on their feet in the grandstands. Labonte now off of turn number 2, half a lap away. He may catch Mark Martin for third. He probably won't get him.
I don't think he wants to. Who's happier now? These guys or the 20 bunch?
So much heart, so much effort, dedication, skills goes into winning a NASCAR Winston Cup championship on the part of so many teams. It'll be sweet for Joe Gibbs today. Tony Stewart wins the Pennzoil 400 for a second straight year. Here comes Labonte. Bobby Labonte is the NASCAR Winston Cup champion for 2000.
Breathe, Bobby. You can breathe now.
Bobby Labonte, the 24th NASCAR Winston Cup champion, closes out Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt with a 4th place finish at the Pennzoil 400 in Homestead today. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
And what a gratifying moment for all the folks at Joe Gibbs Racing. Let's grab Joe, who wants to get a hug from all of his friends. Joe, is this as or more gratifying than the 3 Super Bowls?
I don't know how to describe it. I tell you, it's been 9 long, hard years. And I wouldn't trade Super Bowls for anything, but this, I'm telling you, is fantastic. It was a total team effort. For a lot of these people, they've devoted 9 years of their career working for us and being a part of this and being part of the team. Really, everybody did it. Lord blessed us with a great day, and I tell you, I don't know what to say about it. I'm just thrilled.
Your 2 team members are out there making a pace lap beside each other, but it took you only 3 years to win the Super Bowl, 9 years to win the Winston Cup, which was honestly harder.
I tell you, I don't know what to say about it. I'm not sure you can draw a comparison. They're total team sports. You got to have great people, and you win with people. And really, probably in this one, I had a lot less to do with it, but it's just as much fun. It's you see everybody gamble and come with the interstate batteries and people like that, and just I get a kick out of it, I guess, because you see all those people get to enjoy it. And I don't think we have but about 4 people on this team that have ever been part of a championship, so it's a thrill for all of them. And like I said, Lord bless us with a great year, and it's just, we got a lot of neat people working here.
That has been his motto for years. You win with people. Joe Gibbs, champion in the NFL and NASCAR's Winston Cup Series division.
Bobby Labonte, I don't know if you saw when we were showing the in-car shot of him riding along next to Tony Stewart. He was pointing at his ear. He and Tony have radios in their car where they can tune to a channel and talk to each other. They were having a little conversation about their victory ceremony. Bobby making the ceremonial lap as they set up the celebration stage here at the start-finish line, where he will be presented with the NASCAR Winston Cup trophy for 2000. So glad for Bobby. He is a quality individual.
Yes, he is. He's put forth a lot of effort to be in this position.
See his wife Donna and his mom Martha beginning to walk toward the celebration area. They'll be part of it. Terry Labonte, the 2-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion, 1984, 1996. He'll probably be right in the middle of it all as well. They have such a close relationship, the two do. And no one will be prouder of little brother than Terry, and no one will understand more what it means to accomplish and what went into accomplishing it than Terry.
That's exactly right, and it's great to have someone like, there's a race winner.
Tony Stewart in victory lane after leading 166, 267 laps, his second straight win in the Pennzoil 400. Dominant. Best way to describe Tony Stewart's day here at this track today. To Dave Burns.
Well, and Tony Stewart is still getting unbuckled from the car right now. He's removing the ice packs that he had on himself all day today. Actually, he's getting a little more ice. I think those are probably well used up as he's been out front all afternoon long. A dominating performance here for him, 2 in a row right here in Miami. And it's pretty tough to be undefeated in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. But we'll go in and try to talk to Tony now. And Tony, a lot of refreshment for you here today. Even though you dominated, looks like that was a lot of hard work out there.
It's awful hot here in South Florida right now, but you know, we got really hot there and started getting sick for a while, and on the stop the guys dumped about 1.5 pounds of ice on me, so you know, got us calmed down and got us cooled off, and you know, every stop we just kept pouring ice on me, so you know, kept me, you know, feeling cool. But you know, just kept checking on Bobby all day. I was real concerned about where he was at, and you know, what we were doing. You know, when I saw the 3 car and we got a lap on him, then got a lap on the 99, I knew that was going to help him out some. So did everything we could do to help out today, but he did it himself. I mean, he's a great champion.
And he radioed in many times where Bobby was. He's happy for his teammate.
Tony Stewart, the winner of the Pennzoil 400, and now it's time to see the champion. There's the trophy. It's on top of the car. There's Donna with Madison in her arms, and here he comes, Bobby Labonte, the NASCAR Winston Cup champion. Don't drop it, Bobby.
Come on down.
Here, do this one. Bobby. Tag on it. I don't care. It's all going to get cold.
All right, Bobby Labonte, congratulations. You are the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion. How's that sound?
Well, I guess we can talk about it now, right?
Yeah, now we can talk about it.
Well, I tell you what, I tell you, yesterday I kind of told a little white lie on TV there. I said we're running pretty good, which we weren't, but I didn't want to tell everybody we were running pretty bad. So we made a big adjustment on the race car this morning, and Jimmy and all the guys made it a lot better. This Interstate Batteries Pontiac was awesome. Got to thank MB&A, Centos, Chef Boyardee, Coca-Cola, Easy Care, Ditch Witch, Husqvarna, Goodyear, Champion, Circuit City. We got a lot of sponsors and a lot of great people at Joe Gibbs Racing. That's what it's all about. Everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing did a great job this year, and Tony won the race, and us winning the championship is awesome. Can't say enough for all of our Interstate guys and all the distributors out there. You know, this is what Interstate's keyed around is racing. It's not, we don't advertise for much anything else, so it's awesome, and those guys deserve it. Interstate distributors, you know, this is for you guys, because you guys will make this happen.
For so long, you wouldn't allow yourself to think about it. Are you glad it's finally over?
Sure, we go back to racing out in Atlanta.
All right, Bobby Labonte, the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion.
In typical Labonte fashion, cool and collected. Final results from the Pennzoil 400. You see just 6 cars finishing on the lead lap. Bobby Labonte finishing 4th and wrapping up the championship. Jeff Burton 11th, Dale Earnhardt 20th. So Labonte closes them out today without having to even start the Atlanta race next Sunday. Terry Labonte back in 25th. Tough day for Ken Schrader and Michael Waltrip. The drivers out of the race, most as a result of crashes early. Championship standings with 1 race to go. Bobby Labonte's lead. Jeff Burton takes 2nd, but all he can do is race Earnhardt for 2nd when they go to Atlanta next Sunday afternoon. For Bobby Labonte, the path that began in quarter midgets some 25 years ago, through the NASCAR Busch Series and the '91 championship, led eventually to the Winston Cup Series. Winston Cup's career beginning back in '93. Then he hooked up with Joe Gibbs, and there were many family moments in victory lane. Bobby raced his brother Terry in '96 when Terry won the 2nd of his 2 Winston Cup crowns. And now, after 8 seasons and 16 wins, Bobby Labonte is the NASCAR Winston Cup champion for 2000. The championship celebration is on for Bobby Labonte, Joe Gibbs, and their racing team. Labonte is the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion. For Benny Parsons, Marty Snyder, Dave Burns, and Mike Massaro, I'm Alan Bestwick saying so long from the Homestead-Miami Speedway and NASCAR on NBC.